J Squad.
We gotta find. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue.
All right, all right. Yeah, I know. Flat out. I've been gone so long that I'm already muted at the beginning of my stream. Good thing Kimoji's here to keep me straight. Anyways, as I was saying, we'll start that entrance again. I've been out a couple of days here, missed a couple of streams, not very consistent as I try to be, or as I have been getting. Problems with my phone. My phone just bricked out of nowhere. My son was using it and it died. I went to charge it in. It wouldn't charge back up. I can't get it to charge with anything. So I'm waiting on the new phone to come in. It's supposed to come in tomorrow. Had some problems with the internet one day, and then some other things I've been doing. So I haven't really been online to, like, you know, throw my weight around. But that's all right. We're going to get into it today. So I was trying to figure out what to do, right? I was trying to figure out, what am I going to stream? What's going to be the topic today? And I figured I'd just end up doing what's it called? Just a chill stream, go over some of the stuff and feed the pig. And then I saw Q had posted a video, or not a video, a tweet from Nire. And man, took one look at it and I just started pulling up videos. I think we're going to go over this. She just can't seem to step away from, like, the Veilguard stuff. She brings up Veilguard every time a game looks bad. And I haven't been fully in on the Bloodlines scene yet. I know it's been kind of in a developer hell, you know, because it was talked about 7 years ago, but I guess that's not bad if 6 years of development. But I know I've heard some criticisms around it, some bad things going on, like maybe it's not as, you know, it's not going as well as some would think. But we're going to look at her tweet here while I get everything pulled up. Boom. Try and get this going. I need to make it into space in this game. Oh yeah, I started mechanating things. So I have another game where I am started out as a single mechanator. She's jumping the guy. Talking about Nire. Let's see. But yeah, I mean, I got a mechanator now in the game. We're going to get that put together. But let's take a look. Let's take a look at her tweet before we get too far into this here, into Rimworld. Boop. So this is her tweet coming in today. All right, came in yesterday, I guess. Bloodlines. Did it recently release, or was it because I haven't really been paying attention to it. Either way, I guess it was like a demo. So keeping an eye on Bloodlines 2, and yeah, it's already giving Veilguard. Like, really? Just because a game might be bad doesn't really mean it's Veilguard territory. I would have stood on the guy a bit. What's going on? Oh, the gun. She's jumping the gun. Yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I agree. They're pulling the it's woke out of the gate thing. We'll see, because she doubles down on this, as she tends to do with her arguments. The charm of Origins and Bloodline was role-playing freedom. Yes, I agree. With a portion of it. Bloodlines more so than Origins. Origins had a lot of branching story paths, but Bloodlines was like on another level, I want to say. I never played much of it, but I played some of it, and it was just kind of crazy. We're going to watch some old Veilguard stuff. Yes, I think she's probably feeling the heat from her backing away from Pack and wants her Veilguard moment back, but this is just a guess. Well, she's done other things on her channel, like she's gone back to Veilguard and dipped in a couple of times for that sweet Veilguard corpse to feed off of. So I mean, I'm just kind of feeling the same vibes from now on. Like, all of her content I feel always tends to point towards Veilguard. So now voice protagonist with prefab personality, that's not immersion, that's parody. We'll get into this in just a second, because she says, It looks like sanitized fan fiction for a modern audience. What is she saying? So I heard this and I had to say, like, we're going to go on a journey tonight, and we're going to see what she's talking about. Like, I want to find this sanitized for modern audiences, because she's already using the anti-woke words, pre-jumping on it. And we all know what that means. Watered down, safe, forgettable. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing when it comes to like that watered down idea. Games have been getting watered down for a long time. And even that, it's not in all senses. The AAA games have been, kind of watered down. Like, you can say the same thing about Fallout. Fallout 1 and 2 are way more graphic, and there's so many more things you can do in that game versus what you can do in 3 and 4, right? And New Vegas. It's just on a different. They're on a different level. You can kill kids in that game. You can overdose on drugs in that game. You can do all sorts of stuff. And the dialogue is just peak. A lot of that has to do with the complexity of games have gotten worse. So people spend a lot less time and money on branching paths than they used to. Though, as we've seen with, what's it called? Baldur's Gate 3, it's possible. You can do it, right? So anyway, story's going to be trash. I don't know how you're going to know that. Gameplay better carry hard, or this thing's dead on arrival. So this voice protagonist thing, she doesn't mean voice protagonist. That's not what she's trying to say, because voice protagonist isn't what it's talking about. Fallout 1 and 2 would be too edgy to be released today. Oh, absolutely. 100%. And I'm a Fallout purist. The only good Fallout, the best Fallouts are 1 and 2, hands down. 3, 4, and New Vegas don't even compare. Now, that doesn't mean I don't like I'm not one of those purists that say they're bad games. They're not, they don't hold up to the original. You know what I mean? Has to do with the cock complexity of games. Now that's listen, Damage. Listen, I'm gonna have to kick you out. Even though I know you could still clip and see everything, I'm gonna have to kick you out of my chat one of these days. What she really means when she says voice protagonist, and maybe it's because she's a woman, but what she really means is linear storyline. Linear storyline is what she's talking about. She's talking about when an RPG takes away your choice in the story. Now, because voice protagonist means nothing. You can point towards a number of good voice protagonists, and some that even have a more linear story that are still great RPGs. The Witcher is an example of that. It's a great game, but it's a very linear path. You can do quests sometimes a little bit differently. The criticism for Fallout 4 but the diehard crowd always goes there. Well, yeah. I mean, it's easy when you're a purist to go through it. I don't think Fallout 4 was all that bad for a Fallout game, personally. I know people had problems with it. I still think that's an example of a voice protagonist that's good. Every JRPG in history is a linear story with a voiced protagonist. Like, yeah, it's not spoken voice, but Cloud in Final Fantasy VII has a very clear, dialogue. He speaks in the game, right? He's not a silent protagonist. So this silent protagonist isn't the only way to do an RPG, and it's not the best. V is another good example of you being able to choose, what the protagonist says and does things like that. Fallout is known for you being able to make choices, but them really not mean anything. It's just more different types of dialogue. No, I have my issues with the game, but some people just like make it like it's the worst one. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. People like to dog on it. But yeah, so what she really means is by voice protagonist is linear story, and that's it. And even that is wrong because, like I said, JRPGs are the perfect example. So, of course, in Nier fashion, she doubled down. She doubled down on it and said, monthly reminder, I don't want woke bullshit in my games. Okay, but what about the game is woke? Like, so far, I've heard nothing. And looking at her channel, I saw a text. I saw a post from her the other day. But looking over her channel, I don't see any new videos of her talking about this. Fallout 76 was also... Well, Fallout 76 never needed to be made, in my opinion. Yes, I want well-written female characters, not unlikable caricatures built like 13-year-olds. Yes, I hate token queer characters like paper bag personalities, just added for diversity. I mean, is this talking about Veilguard or not Veilguard? Bloodlines. So, I mean, if you want to make an argument that this Bloodlines isn't going to be as immersive as the other Bloodlines, I think there might be some truth to that, because just of what was done with the original Bloodlines. And I hate to say this, like, I don't hate to say this. This is just the time. 16 times the detail. That's a good quote. That's a Todd original, a Todd special there. I lost train of thought, but this is just completely missing the mark, right? Completely missing the mark on what might be actually happening. But so I figured what we'd try and do is we would take a look at it. And the first thing I wanted to do was watch the trailer. Where did I put that for it? Just to kind of get, like I said, I'm kind of out of the loop, so we're doing a little catch up to what's going on with Bloodlines, and we're also going to do a review of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, the first one, from one of my favorite channels that I love to listen to. So let's go ahead and watch this. Let's open that up. So, boop.
So weary is the wanderer that treads on the fertile soil.
Your reputation is legend.
The city flowered in fire, and in fire she will end.
Don't listen.
All right, so already there is a male protagonist. So you've got a female protagonist and a male protagonist story. I mean, this has been done before. Got it.
Now, this is something. Fire, can you... Oh.
It does look janky, but...
Body.
So even though it looks janky, if it is I think that's okay if they make up for it in areas and it feels like Bloodlines, right? Bloodlines was a very janky game and to this day still has a lot of bugs and is very janky, right? So I don't mind that to a point.
Detective, is there something you need?
How's the case? Hot leads, cold bodies, reheated plots.
Oh my, I think I know what you are.
They say trouble comes in pairs, detective. Trouble comes in pairs.
You are not the only one who has had strange dreams. I see a garden, and I have met someone.
But that would mean...
Who is he?
The facial animations look pretty bad. Like go back and look like it. This is a trailer, so it's supposed to be their best.
Who is he?
It brought you here, my fire. My fire.
So my guess is they're already calling it woke because the female protagonist is on the front and the male protagonist is on the back, right? So I think that's where they're getting it. I don't see how the trailer was woke, but I noticed the bank and dull voice acting. Yeah, I mean it's the facial animations don't look very emotional, so we'll see how that works out. It doesn't it's not getting. I definitely don't get AAA vibes from it in that sense. So before we get into the reviews of 2, because there is a review of 2. Which one's this? And some gameplay walkthrough. I am going to review the old game because it's been forever since I watched it, right? It's been forever. It's been so long that I had to get a review. I had to pull it up. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Vincent. They're probably going to do something, along the lines to a female and male. I mean, this idea that they put it on the back end. The end of this trailer will piss you off because the developers decided to pull an early 2010s Capcom decision by locking pre-orders on CD. Really? Was that the trailer I just watched? Hold on. Hold on. Let's go back to that. History. Got that. Why is it not in my history? There's the world premiere. There we go. Hold on. Stop. Get your butt back over here. Spoiler alerts. Pre-orders. I didn't see it there. Oh, but that's not good news if it's the case. Here, where's the see if we can pull up another trailer. Okay, hold on. Let's just go to the Steam page here. The Steam page. Say we're doing a deep dive. Masquerades isn't something. I mean, I've played the RPG, the tabletop before. I've had a lot of fun playing the tabletop, so I know a little bit about the setting, at least enough to get by. Though it's been a while since I actually sat down to play any tabletop. Oh, it's not even. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm 100 years old. Just let me in. That's the pre-order trailer. The Fabian trailer. Mature content. Oh, that's the downloadable content. Let's go to the main game. Yeah, some nudity and sexual content. Thank you. I'm an adult. Day one fucking DLC is fucking... It's atrocious, man. It is atrocious. Don't blame your sticky keys. Santa Monica. Jesus Christ. Oop. Let's pull that up. So, of course, they've got the deluxe editions and all that other stuff. These games. Downloadable content, man. Playable clans? Hold on. They're locking fucking clans behind? Pre-orders? Of course. Of course, the one that everyone likes to fucking play. Yeah, see, there's the early 2000s Capcom decision. Yeah, I mean, exactly. And this is even more so, like, entire... This is fucked. I mean, this alone, this is what she should be talking about right here, is this shit. But, of course, it's always got to go back to woe. Yeah, Paradox Entertainment. And what's funny is Paradox is, they make games that I really like, but yes, locked stuff behind DLCs. That's fucking... Here's the problem I have with this over even Paradox is, like, these are known classes in the game. You should be able to pick these classes from the beginning. They shouldn't be locked behind DLC. Jesus. You're a monster. Yeah, I agree. Y'all are monsters. All right, so that's incredibly disappointing. Yeah, Paradox is super cucked with DLC. All right, so here's my defense of Paradox. One thing that I do like about Paradox is they will continue providing for a game for years. Stellaris, one of my top 3 favorite games. I have bought every DLC for it. The problem with that is it's a couple $100 to get my buddies into it to play with me if we wanted to play. They're just not willing to commit the amount of money. And now their solution for that has been, oh, well, now you can buy a monthly subscription and get them all. And I'm like, I hate it. But yeah, they're absolutely cucked when it comes to DLC. I agree. That's fucked. So anyway, we're going to watch one of my favorite creators on the internet, Seth, and his review of Vampire the Masquerade's Bloodlines, the original, because I got to get my brain back in the mood, back into what the original was like before I start comparing it to the new one. And no one tells a story about a game like Seth.
Here. Tonight, I'll be covering one of my favorite RPGs, a cult classic that brings you back no matter how many times you finished it. Do you love shopping at Hot Topic? Do you hate natural sunlight? Have you ever wanted to suck off the homeless? If you answered yes to...
See, already a great start. One thing I'll say is, like, it keeps you bringing back over and over again, right? And that, I think, has to do with the replayability of the game, which he's going to get into, I'm sure. But let's just keep listening.
Any of those? Then I know exactly the game for you. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, released in 2000.
Also, if you can't suck off the homeless in 2, then is it even a Vampire Masquerades game?
2004 by Troika Games. Bloodlines takes place in modern-day LA, but our story begins in the Old Testament. So, to understand the lore, I'll need you all to whip out your Bibles and flip to Genesis 4. Remember Cain and Abel? In the Bible, the two brothers made offerings to God. Abel offered the Lord some lamb chops. Cain gave him some Weetabix or some shit. Naturally, God liked Abel's offer a lot more. So Cain disabled his brother by murdering him with a fucking rock. God was very unhappy with Cain for killing his brother? Nah, God doesn't give a shit. Cain's crime was murdering his brother and then having the audacity to lie to God. In the Bible, God punishes Cain to wander the earth. In Vampire the Masquerade, God punishes Cain by giving him superpowers.
Cain, for crimes against your creator and your fellow man, I sentence you to immortality. I'm also giving you super speed and super strength. You can also turn invisible. Would you like to polymorph as well? Sometimes I like to turn into a burning bush and scare the shit out of Moses.
Anyway, God turns Cain into the first vampire. The only downside, he can't walk in the light and he has to drink the blood of others to survive. God's true punishment is giving Cain the ability to sire children. But with immortality, the only thing left to fear is death itself. That fear becomes paranoia, jealousy, hatred, not for humans, but for your own kind. And that fear ends up consuming you. Just as Cain murdered his brother, he is now forced to watch for all eternity as generations of his own children murder each other. Where do you come into all of this? You're a random schmuck who gets embraced against your will in a seedy LA hotel. When you wake up, you're a vampire. But before you get comfortable, the Camarilla boys break in, stake for both of you, and ship you off to vampire court. Turns out, siring vampires without permission is a big no-no and a violation of a masquerade, which is basically a loose set of
Stupid review. Are you kidding? Seth is the peak of gaming reviews.
rules to keep mortals from finding out about the supernatural, and from realizing that Vladimir Tepes was, in fact, a high-level Tsimisi who turned Romanians into dining chairs. Because if humans ever found out, that's a guaranteed death sentence for every vampire on Earth. The judges make their verdict. Your sire gets decapitated by Magilla Gorilla, the African muscle man behind Sebastian LaCroix, Camarilla Prince of LA. And you're next on the chopping block. Oh well, at least you got laid. However, Nines Rodriguez, leader of the LA Anarchs, protests against your immediate execution. Suddenly struck with a flood of emotion and newfound empathy, LaCroix decides to
What's going on, Simon? What did you miss? What are we talking about today? We're talking about Nire's post on Bloodlines, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, and how it's already being touted as a woke mess before it's even come out. And we're trying to find out where that wokeness is coming from.
spare you your
First, we're getting a review of the old game from old Seth here.
life. Instead, he sends you off on a suicide mission to get killed somewhere else. Clueless and alone, you're thrown into this game as an unwilling pawn in a world of darkness.
What? Oh, man. And you're a goddamn Malkavian, too. Wow. You really are fucked.
But as with any chess game, if you underestimate the pawn, you've already lost. Survive, understand, and identify the other pieces on your board. Once you do, you'll
I think that's Nire made a post about Bloodlines. Yeah, calling it woke and diversity, and that it was Veilguard-esque. So, real high level stuff. But I'll say, I think that was one thing that out of Vampire the Masquerade and games from that olden time, there was a lot more focus on the different factions that you wanted to go to each faction. So it gave more of an illusion of choice than you get nowadays, where you're just trying to raise a faction meter.
You'll have to make a choice between being a player and being a pawn. And I should warn you, a pawn is always sacrificed to protect the king. Before you start, you have to pick your clan. There are 7 to choose from. They're generally very interesting and offer unique approaches to the game. Bruja and Gang.
And in 2, you have to buy DLC to play more of them.
Girls are hobos and furries, respectively. They're very hot-tempered and have poor impulse control. Tremere can do this. They're basically undead blood mages. Toreador are the very definition of vampire sluts. Being a room temperature piece of ass does have its advantages though, and lets you get what you want without conflict. Ventru are like vampire aristocracy. Basically, they're assholes who think they're too good for sucking off a homeless. Don't say that to their face though, or you might find your neck snapped. Nosferatu are
You need approval from MasterCard clan to play the other 3 clans. You're not wrong. I mean, we're already getting the sexually explicit marks coming up on everything.
Are hideously deformed. Women ignore you or call the police when they see your face.
Yeah.
So just like real life.
I want a little bit. Lord! Oh, sweet Jesus!
Damn, man! Don't be sneaking up on a brother with your crackhead skin disease test tube baby looking ass! Damn, this shit my pants!
Now that is peak dialogue. You just don't hear lines like this anymore.
I don't sell no soap, so what the hell you want?
So, really, no different from being alive. Malkavians are batshit insane. Their curse makes them unhinged, unstable, and even worse, completely lucid and prophetic. They can also spread this insanity to others. As a result, they've got some of the best interactions and dialogue.
They were my favorite clan, though I didn't play them as much as I would. But I have a love of being a insane person in these games.
Log options in the entire game, which may or may not include talking to stop signs and being interrogated by your own television.
And that the source of the detonation possibly came from you. Hey!
Will this be in the game? That's one thing I need to know about Bloodlines 2, because this is amazing stuff. If you play, an insane vampire and have, talking to a stop sign, the TV, but it still manages to move you through the game.
Heard anything? Kind of musky.
It's no small secret that Clan Malkavian is my favorite. If it's your first time playing Bloodlines, I recommend playing any clan which isn't Malkavian or Nosferatu. Why? Because the Madness Network isn't random. It's foreshadowing. It's knowledge you know but shouldn't. And all these revelations will go over your head when you can't make sense of it. Also, getting spotted out in the open is an instant masquerade violation for Nosferatus, which can result in your immediate death. It's better for seasoned players who already know who and where everyone and everything is. Also, I hope you like sewers, because you're gonna be seeing a lot of sewers as a Nosferatu. Hope you packed snacks. But why would I play this old-ass game a second time, Seth? I got a lot of stuff to do. I got a reading to catch up on. Because, you goddamn zoomer, the game isn't very long. Length isn't the point of it. It's the choices you make. And there's a lot of different choices you can take depending on your character, which come back to help or haunt you in the future. It's a very well contained and believable world that never breaks your suspension of disbelief. You might be turned off by the vampires, and to tell the truth, I was too. So was my mom, and now she's probably finished the game more times than me. Because this game isn't about vampires, the undead, or the supernatural. It's about humans, and regardless of whether they're mortal or damned flesh, they all act, think, and feel human. They've got real fears, hopes, and motivations, which
So this is one thing, like Nire was talking about, needing the gameplay needs to go hard. I disagree. They need to get the dialogue of this game down, because Vampire the Masquerade is not like D&D in the fact that you do a lot of fighting. Fighting is a small portion of Vampire the Masquerade. It's the main point of the game is the masquerade, right? It's about talking, building relationships, backstabbing people. It's about the role play more so than a lot of other role play games are. So it's not like an adventure game where you're going to fight monsters all the way through. You may only have one session, one, maybe two sessions where you do some fighting, and the rest of your sessions could be just flat out, dialogue RPG stuff.
drive their character. Every single character, no matter how central or insignificant they are to the plot, are written fantastically well. And that's the main praise you hear for this game. The story and the dialogue, which has some goddamn amazing voice acting.
I am the proprietor and salesman of the month several years in a row. The ladies call me, oh God, but you can call me Fat Larry with a F-A-T, cause I know I got a weight problem, I just don't give a fuck.
I see your face is not so lifeless. Your nerves not so deadened that you cannot express shock. Tell me, child, is my appearance that frightening? Or is it my knowledge of you that is so unnerving?
Hey! Welcome to Sang's Herbal Remedies. I am Sang. How may I assist you? Selling remedies is honest work. I came to America.
All right, $10 right now that this character is not making it to the new game. Oh man, these were different times.
After discharge from Chinese Herbal Remedies forces to help aging parents restore. Definitely, I am now American citizen. God bless the Allegiance flag. Chinese invented gunpowder. Yes, I know guns. Hold on, please. These are good remedies for many problems. No credit cards.
Kids don't know nothing.
No more Yankee my wanky. The finger need food.
Through most of the game, you're given tasks to complete by LaCroix. These serve as the main quest line, and you'll need to finish them to progress the story and unlock new locations. You'll get to meet the other major powers in LA as well. There's the Camarilla, which uphold the status quo and enforce the masquerade religiously, anarchs who respect the masquerade but hate the politics and hierarchy of the Camarilla, the Sabbat, who don't give a shit about the masquerade and seek dominion over mankind, and finally, there's the Kuei Jin, Asian vampires that have recently moved into Chinatown and filled it with gacha machines. They use the negative chi formed by gambling, organized crime, and gacha balls to fuel their aggressive business practices. Besides the main story, there's dozens of side missions to...
What's going on, Retro Slop? How you doing today? We are learning about Vampire the Masquerade 2, but we're starting with Vampire the Masquerade. I mean, it's pretty standard, faction stuff. But like I said, one thing that I remember out of this game was it was the dialogue, right? You weren't going and doing a ton of fighting. Fighting was in the game, of course, and a good bit of it. But this game, as it is with the tabletop as well, is about that dialogue, man.
To complete. None of these are your standard fetch quests either. They force you to think and decide for yourself how to best approach them. Completing missions is important, since that's your only way of getting the experience points necessary for upgrading your character. Most of them can be resolved peacefully by talking or stalking. Some of them, however, cannot. And whether it's from other vampires or the same dude in a wife beater, copy-pasted 200 times, violence is inevitable. So building your character to be a smooth-talking, anemic slug might not be the best idea. There's a lot of nightclubs in this game, by the way. They're a good place to feed. They've also got some pretty good music. You can also dance. Even outside, there's some very nice ambience to fit the mood. It makes you feel like you're actually there. This game taught me that Santa Monica is a...
Hope you've been well, bro. Heard mixed things about Bloodlines too. Yeah, I have too. That's what we're trying to kind of figure out, because I've seen at least one person near a talk about it being woke already and basically calling it a failure there. So it's piqued my interest, and now I have to dig into it. I've got the itch.
A shithole. So don't feel bad about the people you kill there. In a way, you're saving them from the pain of living in Santa Monica. Bloodlines controls quite simply. You play it in first person while interacting with objects and NPCs, and you pan out to...
Quick question. I just started Rimworld last night. Is it best to watch a beginner's video or blindly learn as you go? The game is brutal. That really depends on you. The game has a steep learning curve. So if you're looking to get into it, just like the basics, I'd say watch a video. But the game is really about solving problems and putting out fires. So while a beginner video will kind of teach you the basics on setting up stuff like your work and, what you kind of need to do in the beginning of the game, the game is is really up to you on how you play it, and you can discover all sorts of things that are in it. So yeah, I'd say watch a video at least to get the basics down, and then just start experimenting. I have here, I'll go show you this one too. Save and quit to menu. I have one. So that one I'm kind of do the wasters going into space. This one though has been kind of going crazy. I started out with a single mechanator, and now I'm like they're crazy bionic out. They're getting there anyway. I plan to have them completely bioed out by the end of it. So bionic arms, Psylinks, tough skin, and then on top of it, I'm strip mining the planet. And because I'm using mechanators, I'm polluting it as well. So you never played Rimworld? It is probably my favorite game, probably my number one. I love storytellers, games that I can tell a story in, and Rimworld gets you attached to these little pawns that you'll hate and love all at the same time. Like, I started out with Isdar, found Brumbles as a kid. Isdar was 19, raised Brumbles to be a decent medical doctor, so that she could give him cybernetics. She also is becoming a really good crafter, as you can see. And then they ended up getting married. She has a baby that's black. Notice a stark difference from the father here. And then we have Trina, who is also a kid that we raised. Now, what makes this unique is usually when you play the Mechanator playthrough, he has Recluse, so he doesn't like having people. But this one has actually built a family where they go around, strip mine the world, pollute it, and they're going to start enslaving people too. A way they talk about it is War Crime Simulator. Next, he will find Mary. Yeah, probably. I didn't think about that. Oh, anyways, let's keep listening to this.
To third person, whenever you're in combat, combat can be enjoyable, but mostly it is not enjoyable. Combat boils down to mashing left click while desperately scrolling with your mouse wheel and smashing right click to reactivate blood buff. Oh yeah, every clan's got vampire superpowers or disciplines unique to their bloodline. Many of these cost a lot of blood to use, but they're visually impressive, they can end fights instantly, and they break the monotony of endless button mashing while hoping and praying that your enemy's life bar is smaller than your own. You could use guns instead, but unless you've invested skill points into firearms, you might be dead by the time you take a shot. Outside of combat, you'll be doing everything from investigating serial murders to evicting unfriendly spirits out of hotels. The Ocean House Hotel is there to remind you that just because you're a spooky bloodsucker doesn't mean you're...
The OG Bloodlines has to go down as one of the buggiest games I've finished because it was able to work. I was able to work past it. Yeah, I've experienced some of the incredible bugginess, which is so funny that oh yeah, Libert is a slave. It's so funny that it's such a cult classic because it was hard to play, right? This wasn't like a mainstream game by any means. It was one of the first Source Engine games before Half-Life 2, or at least started development before Half-Life 2. I don't remember. I do not remember all that. I'm terrible with the history of games. But either way, it's still a classic, no matter how buggy it is.
You're not capable of terror. The Ocean House is so infamous that it's got its own console command to skip the entire sequence. It's probably one of the best horror segments I've ever seen in a game, and they managed to do it without a single jump scare. Just a feeling of pure condensed dread. Your inventory is conveniently infinite, so you never have to worry about space. You'll pick up useful items like blood bags and firepower, and less useful items like birth control and estrogen pills. This game's difficult, and there's...
See, look at that. The original was trans-friendly.
There's a few frustrating points in the story that might make you quit. Point number 1, Hollywood sewers. At some point in the story, you have to find the Nosferatu as they've gone into hiding for reasons unknown. This has nothing to do with a 3 billion Samisi flesh puppets clogging up every sewer drain, and you're gonna have to fight them all, including this big bitch who throws spare ribs at you. Also, there's no blood down in the sewers, so I hope you brought an entire fridge supply of blood with you. Good luck. Luckily, the unofficial patch fixes this completely. The good old games copy comes with a patch
what bothers me the most is I was good at Prison Architect, yet I feel like a newbie idiot playing Rimworld despite the similarities. I've never played Prison Architect. I've seen it played, and I think the big difference is all your threats. Like, you can technically make a prison architect in Rimworld, but you're also going to have attacks from outside and things like that. That's right, Blake. Veilguard, or not Veilguard. Vampire the Masquerade was woke back then. So once you get the hang of like the basics for it, then you can really start to go crazy. By getting a hang of the basics, I mean, you're not going to be good at the game. You're just going to understand how to not lose as quickly.
installed, so you can take a convenient shortcut and save yourself the pain of going through this programmed hell. Point number 2, Werewolf Park. In this universe, werewolves are incredibly rare, but they're also invincible killing machines. In fact, you can't fight this puppy at all. It's immune to damage and can stun lock you to death in several swipes. This all happens in a span of 5 seconds, so most players never even get the chance to understand what the fuck is going on before they meet their final death. Again, and again. Even though it kills you in 5 seconds, you're expected to survive for about 5 minutes. Oh, and forget about regenerating your health. Werewolf claws burn through your flesh, so it can't be healed back. However, after years of dying to that same werewolf, I found out you can actually kill it. What the hell? How was I supposed to know that you're actually meant to run into the observatory, flick the circuit breaker outside, run back in, open the dome, lure it into the dome, and crush it to death? How the hell was I supposed to know that? The answer is, I didn't. I had to look it up on the wiki. After years of suffering through this...
Nothing like games that just didn't tell you how to do certain things. You had to discover them on your own or read about it online.
Same mission each playthrough. This is oddly satisfying. However, if you can endure past those rough patches in the story, you'll start piecing together what's going on. The concern and focus of every major faction in LA is in one way or another centered on the arrival of a certain archaeological treasure, the Ankaran sarcophagus, which, throughout the game, has a bad habit of getting stolen. What's inside? Who knows? An old Assyrian king? Or a slumbering antediluvian, one of the oldest granddaddy vampires out there, who, if you traced your blood far back enough, might be one of your original fathers. Half the city believes the latter. They also believe that the moment Father Dearest wakes up from his slumber, he's gonna be hungry. Real hungry. And he'll sate that hunger by feasting on his children. Wherever we go, it is the blood of Cain which makes our fate. Your fate and the fate of the Ankaran sarcophagus are inescapably intertwined. Will you open up the sarcophagus or seal it away for all eternity? That choice is up to you. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. A very unique, flawed, and fantastic diamond of a game. Terrible combat, 0 out of 10. As always, more content to come, so stay tuned. Now I'm just fucking with you. 10 out of 10. One of my favorite and one of the most replayable RPGs of all time. There's very few games out there that keep pulling you back over and over again and still manage to make each playthrough different, and this is one of them. Go buy it. Go play it. You won't regret it. Get sucked into the atmosphere. Get a craving addiction.
Did you see that? Did you see that? I want you to look at that. Let's go back a little bit here. Look at that. You could have estrogen pills and big titties in the game. This game has it all.
This is one of them. Go buy it. Go play it. You won't regret it. Get sucked into the atmosphere. Get a craving addiction for it and replay it every few years for the rest of your natural life, because there's nothing quite like it. A warm thanks to the...
So, yeah, that's the original. I mean, it's a classic, and I don't even know that many people who are talking about it actually played the game or understood it. It's just like a vague idea of it. Now, I'll admit I was never good at beating games to begin with. I'm still not. So I never beat the game, but I had a lot of fun going through it and doing stuff within the game. So with that, we're going to watch Eurogame's version, their review about it. So turns out Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 isn't much of an RPG. We've played it. After being on Twitter for a month or two, I realized people that talk about games don't play games. Yeah, I've started to realize that too. Or even worse, some of them are just AAA players, right? And that's the only thing that they play. What's going on, Angry Canadian? You staying up late to hang out? But yeah, I mean, it's like the AAA slop games is what these people play. They don't play like Bloodlines wasn't in their preview of games that they played. It was other stuff, and they're just now hearing about it secondhand and how people are talking about what a good game it is, but may not have ever actually looked at it. But let's see Eurogamer talk about it and see what they have to say, because this definitely looks like it's not getting good review from them.
I can't hide it. I'm a little bit disappointed. The wait for Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 has been an excruciating one. This is the long-awaited follow-up to the flawed but respected Bloodlines 1 from 2004, and it was originally announced in 2019 with a release date of 2020. But it was systematically delayed and then full-on suspended before being resurrected by the Chinese.
That's what I remember. It went through dev hell. The Chinese, is that what I'm hearing?
Room, who made Still Wakes the Deep, where it's been reshaped for release. Bloodlines 2 has had problems. The question is, does it still have problems, and has it been worth the wait? Having played Bloodlines 2 for a few hours in a preview build, my answer, frustratingly for you, is I'm not.
Yeah, I was looking at it online. It's like 7 or 8 years that it was in development hell. And Still Wake the Deep, I don't know if that's a good choice for it. Still Wake the Deep, I think, was a really good game. I didn't play it, but it was like one of those games that I just had to watch a playthrough of it just because I knew I wouldn't play it. You know what I mean? The modern Duke Nukem Forever. Yeah, pretty much. So development hell is already a thing. And is this like company, is the group that made Still Wake the Deep a good pick for Vampire the Masquerade, right? A story-driven horror game, or what originally was a, opened story video game versus their very linear.
Sure, I have mixed feelings. There are things I really like about it. I love how powerful it makes you feel as a vampire from the very beginning of the game. The action feels great, but I'm concerned by how narrow the game is as a role-playing experience. Too often, I feel led through metaphorical corridors from point A to B, as though I'm playing a predetermined experience rather than shaping one of my own. I think it's telling that Paradox is leaning into the action part of the action RPG descriptor. From what I've played, this is more like an action or stealth game with some RPG elements rather than the other way around. And given the extensive and exhaustive resource material involved.
And see, that's already the sound of something that's not going to be Vampire the Masquerade, because it's very, the original is very much like we saw there, play your own way. Each vampire clan has their own toolbox to do that, and some are harder to play than others, right? The fucking Nosferatu guys, they have to do stealth. There's no other way to do it. So going for the action side of it, I think, is just completely missing the point of the game. Now, does this make the game woke? No, I don't think so.
A tabletop RPG that's been running for decades, that disappoints me. But there are upsides to this approach. The things I like then. Bloodlines 2 wastes no time making you feel cool. You do not wake as a fledgling vampire, but an elder one who's been asleep for 100 years. From the moment you take control of...
I'll say that's an interesting way to go with it versus you being a fledgling. It can work. I could work with that.
This character, a character cringingly called Fire, and who likes to announce their name at every given opportunity, you can already do incredible things. You can scramble up walls like a spider, even entire buildings if you plan your route right, and leap off the other side to the ground and take no damage. You can move with a blur like vampire speed, float through the air and punch people so hard they fly through the air. You can telekinetically grab at objects and then hurl them from wherever you want. You can even telekinetically grab people. There's no gradual build-up of power here. You are, from the beginning, a beast. It feels great. There's a snap and a pace and a wallop to everything you do. Even a small thing like climbing up.
It sounds like it's suffering from modern RPG issues like Outer Worlds, where it's more of an RPG light, very handholdy. Wait, the game has bazonkas too? How is it woke? I mean, it doesn't take much. If failure equals woke at this point to try and pull the woke points from, the anti-woke audience. It's... The problem I've always had with RPGs, and I harped on this the last Nire video that I watched where she was talking about it, is there's a lot of games that claim to be RPGs that aren't really RPGs. They just took RPG mechanics from it, right? There was RPGs, and then the leveling system and things like that went with RPGs started to get adapted into other games, like action games started being action RPGs. Other types, I can't think of any off the top of my head. So it was this mesh of multiple things, and I think it's only diluted it further as time's gone on. The average user just wants a good slop action game is what it feels like most of the time, and where the deep down RPG lovers want more. They want the game to feel alive.
Up a ladder is sped up so that it's like doing it on fast forward. And as you start to unlock more powers as you level up, which differ slightly depending on which of the game's 6 clans you join, but note 2 of these you have to pay to unlock, which is grubby. I joined the Bruja clan, which are brawlers. The action gets more ridiculous still. I have a lightning punch ability that rapidly strikes countless times anyone who I mark nearby to be punched. I pulverize them in a blur of action. I have a charge that makes me thunder towards anyone in my path and pick them up and slam them into whatever I'm running towards. This is the upside to the game's somewhat obvious action focus. The more linear approach to levels and situations also means areas have been shaped specifically to encourage entertaining, platformer-like traversal, and they've been decorated to a high degree. Take the derelict building you wake up in, for example. There's only one route through it as you work your way onto the roof, away from inquisitive police, so visually, the crumbling ruin of the place is writ large all around you. Developer Chinese Room showed what flair it has for environmental storytelling in Still Wakes the Deep, on that wonderfully touchable and dilapidated 1970s oil rig, and you can see that expertise here too.
The game should have been more woke if they added big-bellied werewolf and buff vampires. I mean, I guess.
The dimly lit grimness of it, the posters on the wall, the graffiti, the wall smeared in blood. It's exactly the atmosphere a Bloodlines game begs for. The detail in your home base apartment, a kind of disgusting makeshift laboratory, is incredible. Nice though they are to look at, in these areas there's little you can actually interact with. A problem that carries right across the game. Take the city of Seattle, for instance, where the game is set. It looks nice, caught as it has been in a heavy snowfall and moody in the dark, lit by pools of street lights or car headlights. But the only doors you can interact with are the ones that lead to specific quest objectives. of which there are only 1 or 2 in the preview build, and the only people you can interact with, well...
Y'all are having a little bit too much fun there. Big-bellied vampires. But this is a miss for me, too. Like, part of an RPG is exploring the things that are outside of it. You know, you can connect it to a quest or something like that, or like a side quest, but you don't always have to. One thing I remember being lost from the original Diablo to even Diablo 2, or definitely to 3, was in Diablo 1, there was a huge focus on the characters. The blacksmith wasn't just a blacksmith. He was a character that you got to know throughout the game, because after you came out of the church every time, you talked to them and found out more about the world. And it's more alive when you have little places that you can go into. You can go into the little shop and talk to whoever about things like that. Just more. You'd think more people would want more choices as game budgets got bigger. Imagine if Deus Ex and Fallout New Vegas had the budget of some of these AAA titles. Yeah, well, I think I've always said this, and even when other people just recently started talking about is video game companies, AAA companies, started to get just bloated. They weren't adding meaningful stuff with the amount of money they were doing. They were just adding more people and hoping that would create better games. But that's just not how it works in any sense of the word. So a lot of that deep dialogue just gets pushed off to the side. I also think there's a bit of favoritism in a lot of the AAA communities, especially in companies. You get new writers that come in, and they'll start, doing favors for their buddies. So a lot of the people at the top, just it starts to die out. Like I think what can make a story, even a branching story like that, better is a small writing team that is dedicated to that branching choice. And writing teams nowadays are, gigantic. So you may never even hear about the other sides of a story until the game comes out, because it's so, you're nowhere near the other, right? You're writing for this specific quest right now, and then another quest later down the road. So I think big is what killed it.
Well, you can utter a few words to some people in an effort to lead them into an alley to drink their blood, which regenerates health or regains special ability charges, or earns you a kind of upgrade currency, but that's about it. For the most part, it feels like a place filled with non-interactive extras. This feeling extends to the building environments you enter. There's a hotel lobby that's full of people at a Christmas do, but I can't interact with any of them. Then, when I get to the more gamey areas of the hotel, which is where I'll fight some packs.
See, small things like that too, like being able to interact with something. It might not be an important part of the quest, and this is where, like, we talk about the action RPGs and how it's become more gamey, more action focused, is like being able to go into this story and write, in this group and do things. It just kind of changes the way you do it. It makes it feel alive. It also can add other avenues for ways to play that same quest, right? Like you look at, you don't have a lot of games that give you more than one, maybe two options for a quest, right? It's usually like that, but there could be multiple stages and branches path. They're all going to lead to the same thing eventually, but you get to play how you want to play in it, and your play style, I think, just opens up way more for people. I agree. A lot of writing teams don't understand their source material as much as they should and pay attention to the details of why people care. Yeah, I agree. And you're seeing it a lot more in media as a whole, where it's just not, it's just in some cases completely going against the material that you're looking at.
Of low level.
I also, man, my sister, I've been trying to find a good horror series because I love horror books. I love horror, but it's hard to find a good horror book. And a lot of it is so quirky. And she offered me to read something Kingfisher, the Twisted Ones. And man, that was not a horror book at all. Like, it had some horror themes in it, but I'd never felt scared or on edge for any of the characters, just because every time that there was a tense moment, they ended it with some quirky, millennial phrase. Like, the lady would come to a realization, the main character would come to a realization and then talk about how her butt was numb. And it's just like, modern writing, we'll say, has not been one of my favorite things lately.
Vampires, thugs, really. There's no one else around. These halls and corridors are mostly empty, with only occasional clusters of enemies there. It's a bit dull. Even the more central characters don't inspire much excitement when you meet them. They're nice enough to look at, but predictable to the point of stereotype, with the exception of Tolly, a disfigured Nosferatu who injects much-needed humour and charisma.
Stereotype? How can it be woke if it's got stereotypes in it?
And the interactions with them feel stiff. There's not much intrigue in the dialogue. You cannot provoke reactions, such as arousal or embarrassment or annoyance, which suggests these things mean something in a gameplay sense, but how that plays out is unclear for now from what I've played. Thankfully, the story does have some intrigue of its own. It's literally embedded in you. You wake with not so much a voice in your head as a whole other personality who happens to be, bizarrely but brilliantly, a noir-style private investigator, which prompts an amusing clash of styles between him and his overly dramatic inner monologues, and your surliness. It also allows you an onboard narrator who can explain the world as you adventure through it. Actually, the best part of the preview came when inhabiting the PI-style character through a memory of his, because he had access to a different range of vampire abilities, mind-affecting ones. The gameplay challenge here became extracting information through dialogue from characters who didn't necessarily want to give it, which was much more interesting than rote battles with uninspiring packs of vampire thugs. It was a glimpse at the sort of thoughtful dialogue interaction I had hoped the game would have. Look, there's still hope. This, it's worth remembering, is a preview build of a game still months from release, and it's only the start of the experience, the part that typically lays some ground rules before opening up and letting you do what you want to do. I fully expect this empty-feeling Seattle playground to populate with places to go and people to meet. At least, I hope that's the case. But I also expect a preview build to be designed to showcase the best parts of
she's saying what I was just about to say. Like, it's... If they're going for the traditional source of the game where, it's very RPG heavy, why are you showing only the action-based stuff? It makes everyone feel like the game is just that, going to be action-based and nothing else. So, I think kind of an L here.
The game I'm previewing, and for the beginning of a game to grab and dazzle a player and convince them to stick around. I did enjoy some of what I played, and I'm willing to give it another go, but I wasn't grabbed or dazzled. I'm always wary of critiquing a game for what it's not, rather than meeting it where it is, and just emphasize the emphasis on action here makes plenty of sense. But this is a sequel to a cult RPG after all, and one set on a major tabletop RPG to boot. In this case, it feels valid to crave a little more role-playing here, and so a question mark remains. And there you go, that is Eurogamer's preview of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Is this the kind of game that you would pick up? And
I mean, yeah, it already kind of looks... So far, yeah, I see problems with the game. I see red flags for what the game is versus what it's going to be. I'm not seeing the woke, though. Like, I'm not seeing what's going to make this game be Veilguard, right? I feel like Nire's putting a label on it because it's the label that she got popular off of versus what it's than what it actually is. So you're thinking it might be a flop because it's generic slop that has nothing really to do with the OG game and not because it went woke. Yeah, that's kind of my thing. And I don't even know that it'll be a full flop. The thing is like Vampire the Masquerade, was it an incredibly popular game? Let's take a look. Like I don't remember it being. I remember seeing it, but I don't remember it being that much of a game. In conclusion, the game should have added vampires or werewolves that are either big-bellied or buff. God, Blake. 6 out of 10, too much air. It's a cult classic for PC gamers. Yeah, I agree. But I think in its because of its bugginess and other, problems, it wasn't like a mainstream hit. So you're going to bring in new people to the Bloodlines thing. So, I mean, it could sell fairly well, but it's not going to be popular. It's not going to become a cult classic like Vampire the Masquerade was. That's my guess anyway, right? Outside of, but it's definitely nothing about it looks woke, right? And in even that, you can go into the stuff in Vampires, our Bloodlines 1 and call all sorts of things in that game woke, right? The way you can play and do stuff. So, I mean, woke is also pretty meaningless. The last part was me making fun of IGN. Yeah. Nothing like, I hate numbered reviews. I would rather get anything other than that. Let's see. Vampire Masquerade 1 sales. Price history. I'm kind of getting comparisons in my head to Bloodlines 2 and Deus Ex Human Revolution, even though I like the game, but still pales in comparison to the OG. Yeah, that's very, very similar vibes. I think that's a way better comparison than Veilguard, right? This isn't the way it is because it's woke slop and they tried to push, blah, 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 whatever wokeness. It's not going to be the same focus, just like Human Revolution was. And I liked Human Revolution when it came out and I played it, even though it was not as popular, we'll say, with the original fans, which I never played the original. So coming from like that point of view, the first game is very much the same thing, a cult classic. The second game, normies like me would pick it up, right? So if it's got a decent story, good action, but it doesn't have all the branching paths and things you can do, it may still very well sell pretty good. Maybe not like a branch out hit, but pretty good. That's my view of it anyway. That's my opinion. Whether you think, I'll probably respond to Nehru later about it because I think she's just playing wokey games on it. So that's my segment on Vampire the Masquerade 2. Very, very bad takes from Nire. Now, I've watched some of her other content, and I've had problems with the way she talks about RPGs, to the point that I'm wondering how many RPGs she played as a kid. Because it's like she only talks about one style of RPG, where even before other genres started stealing RPG mechanics, there was different types of RPGs, turn-based RPGs, CRPGs, JRPGs, and a lot of them had the same thing in common, where the stories were really good. You know, in CRPGs and turn-based RPGs, there's a lot more about the branching paths, where in JRPGs, you're talking about more detailed story, very linear story, but still very much an RPG in that fashion. And that's where I think she really goes wrong in her description of it. People were calling Borderlands 3 woke because one of the 4 main Vault Hunters you play is a non-binary, yet it sold a lot of copies. Yeah, in reality, most people don't care. Right? Outside of the anti-woke slop, if the game is good, then, you know, it's going to sell. I mean, I have problems with the way Borderlands changed its writing from 1 to 2, but I mean, it still kind of based itself off of that. I wasn't around, but what did the anti-woke Crusaders think about a actual good RPG like Baldur's Gate 3? Surely they thought it would flop. So no, they kind of knew it was going to be I mean, there was no doubt in pretty much anyone's mind that it was going to be a success. There was very light talk about wokeness in it, but for the most part, they saw the forest for the trees and that it was going to be a hit, and you know, praised it for that stuff. There may have been a few who were diehard to the wokeness, but I mean, what were they going to do? Baldur's Gate 3 was a phenomenon, and I think that had a lot to do with the fact that it's so many people have gotten into Dungeons and Dragons from when I was younger, right? From the back rooms, just trying to find a few nerdy friends to play, to what it's become now. On top of it, Baldur's Gate 3 is, man, that was like I talk about Fallout 1 and 2 being some of the first computer games that I had. What I don't mention is that when my dad got me the box set of 1 and 2 for Fallout, he also got me 1 and 2 for Baldur's Gate is at the same time. And you're talking about 4 games that I played the shit out of. So yeah, Fallout 1 and 2 are bangers, 100%. Top games right there. My favorite story, I've already told it once, I'll tell it to you again, Retro Slop, is my brother got so I had played Icewind Dale. That's another good. Pretty much any of those D&D series were just mwah. I think Baldur's Gate was better because of the storylines. You know, your character had a story to it, where Icewind Dale was more about the party, and there wasn't, like, all the characters were very generic. It was more about the story that you were going through versus the characters in your party, right? Damn, we're on the same wavelength. Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of old-time gaming. But anyway, I remember in Fallout 1, my brother decided to just start spamming one of the drugs in the game. I can't remember which one. The one that's usually that like speeds you up. And he did it so many times that his character overdosed. Something most players probably never saw in Fallout 1. It brought his intelligence down to 1 or to 0, and from then on he talked gibberish pretty much. And what made it even better is the NPCs talk to him differently. I remember him walking up to one character and talking to her, and he would be like, "Hey, young Maggie, do that." And then she, "Oh, honey, how are you doing? Maybe I can get you a sandwich." Like, it was that good that the dialogue changed based off of your character. But enough soying out about the good old days of Fallout 1 and 2. That's going to be pretty much the end of the gaming segment for now. Next, we're just going to get into some chill content, some stuff that has been brought up. Was he talking like a drunk? He was talking like he was mentally challenged. That's what it came down to, is he was talking like, I mean, flat out like a retard, if you want to say it that way. I know. Bad way to put it, but that's what it was. It was, you were now a dum-dum. in the game. So you could still go through the game and you could beat the game that way, but the dialogue wasn't the way you were going to do it, and it wasn't easy. You could also kill kids in that game, and there was a perk called Child Killer that you could get. So that was a thing that you'll never see again in game. Well, Rimworld lets you kill kids. It also lets you enslave them, grow child soldiers out of vats, and train them to fight. But this is just a different kind of peak. Next on the chopping block is just some random chill content. We're gonna finish out the night with a couple videos that have been sitting in Feed the Pig, which is a great way to talk about. If you haven't liked the stream, please like it. Help me get engagement. Help me get to the point that I can really start grifting. We're at 78 subscribers now. So we're on the way to 100. On the way to 100, which is something that I never thought I would reach here. If you really like my content, hit subscribe and do that bell so that you can always be alerted when I come on. If you want to do more, I do have a little tip thing, but I don't push it that hard because I just started, this game, so I'm not grifting too hard yet. And if you have anything that you want to do, that's right, on the way to 100. If you have anything that you want me to watch, you want me to go over, come into our Discord. It's in the description, and there's a chat called Feed the Pig. Put it there, feed me the content, and if it catches my interest, I will go over it. So the next thing that caught my interest, the next slop that I wanted to watch, I've watched Stoic Stick a few times. I really like his videos. The one I watched on stream was about Mecha Hitler. Now, I think that one dunked my channel out of the algorithm because I clipped the channel and I went through and censored all the times I said rape. And it still dunked me in the algorithm, and it felt like I had to start climbing back up. But that's neither here nor there. We're going to learn about the legendary, the mythic Sonichu curse. Now, if none of you are chronically online, you might not know what Sonichu is. I would be hard pressed to think anyone that's spent any time online doesn't know what it is. But there is a lolcow, probably I think he's known as the most documented person on the internet, Chris Chan. Chris Chan has had a very colorful Sonichu, that's right, a very colorful history. His latest, the last thing I saw was him getting arrested for apparently having sex with his disabled grandmother. Which he was, the charges were dropped. So yeah, there's that. So we're going to learn about, so he made a character in his life, like going through. One of the first characters he made was Sonichu, a combination of Pikachu and Sonic, his two favorite characters. He eventually made medallions. I learned about in 2009. Yeah. Oh, man. Streamer lagged for a second because you said Chris Chan. Yeah, probably. You do it too much. But I learned about him much later in life. I want to say maybe about 10 years ago, I started getting into like the crazy people on the internet, and that's what brought me to where I am today. But the Sonichu medallions he made and started selling. Well, a few people either received them directly from Chris Chan, like Mudahar, or bought some of their own. And I'm sure he'll go into the history, but let's see what he talks about.
Objects that exist in this world: haunted dolls, cursed paintings, evil chairs. But these objects pale in comparison to the dark presence that reside in Sonichu medallions. In this video, we're going to be looking at what a Sonichu medallion is, who Chris-chan is, and the lives of all the people that have been ruined because they decided to put one of these medallions on. But first, what are Sonichu medallions? And who is Chris-chan? Chris-chan, also known as Christian Weston Chandler, is probably one of, if not the most famous and longest lasting lolcows. Chris-chan is the mayor of Quickville, a fantasy land that he created for a school.
Mutahar doesn't just have one, Mutahar has worn it. And it could explain his kind of falling out here lately.
Project and the basis for most of his delusions. He was picked up by message boards in the early 2000s, and because of his eccentric and awkward outgoings, he became the target of trolls and stalkers, which ultimately led to him having an incestuous relationship with his own mother. Yeah, it's a very long story, filled with characters just as disgusting as Chris. Even in the very first sightings of Chris at the tabletop games,
dude, the whole story behind Chris is just absolutely insane. I don't even know all of it. That's something we may have to dig into sometime. The full history of Chris-chan.
Store, Chris was seen with his custom-made Crayola model magic clay medallion. This is the original Sonichu medallion, and may I say, as controversial as it is, the medallion is pretty well made and looks kind of cool. I mean, tell me with a straight face that in this image, he doesn't have that shit on. The medallion depicts his original character. Well, the term original is used loosely because it's a combination of the Sonic and Pikachu characters which are combined. Sonichu's creation is detailed in episode 1 of the Sonichu comic web series. There's also Rose Chu and other characters, some of which he falls in love with and deludes himself into believing that they are magic and able to influence this world. You can actually see the level of delusion when, during his arrest in 2021, he tells the officers of these other interdimensional characters in the room.
Is there anybody else in the room? Wait, Spirit, well, interdimensionally, you can't.
I bet Vincent is watching or hearing this, and his reaction to it is, what am I hearing right now? I would be surprised if Vincent didn't know about Chris-chan. That would feel like he's been missing out, and he seems like he's at least been around for a while in the commentary community.
Tangibly see them.
That arrest video is hilarious and has some actual gems in it. Just take a look.
Box.
Yeah, I got a cell phone right here.
Oh, that's my secondary phone.
That's your secondary phone?
Yeah, I have two phones, one for the trolls and one for my home. I got two phones, one for the boys, one for my friends. You think I need two phones? There's a song.
Yeah, Kevin Gates.
There you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, Chris has made multiple versions or marks of these medallions. Mark 1 was the original and was given to the troll Bianca, who was posing as a love interest in order to get the medallion, and so was lost to Chris. Mark 2 was destroyed when another troll named Max coerced Chris into cutting it into pieces and shoving them up his arse, which he later confirmed did actually go up his arse and had to be excreted out, because of speculation that it didn't actually go up all the way. Mark 3 was created shortly after Mark 2 and was destroyed when he dropped it at a card game shop, which leaves Mark 4, which Chris is currently in possession of. It has survived the longest and is now faded and grimy because he never takes it off, not even to shower. If it truly is the case that he never takes it off, then
I don't know that I ever want to see that video, Retro. That's horrifying.
That means he must have also worn it when he with his mother. Let's not even go there. These are the original Chris-chan Sonichu medallions, but Chris in 2014 announced that he would be selling replicas of the Sonichu medallion for only $30, which is pretty cheap for what you're getting. Hundreds of medallions were sold, and they've made their way into all sorts of places, and into the hands of multiple different people. Now, we're going to talk about some of these people and how those medallions ended up ruining their lives. I think because it's recent, we should start with Some Ordinary Gamers, who in July of last year was pictured wearing a Sonichu medallion. Some Ordinary Gamers, also known as Mutahar, makes generic commentary videos on YouTube and has a decent following. His content used to be focused around diving into the deep web, which was supposedly good, but I've never watched him, so I can't confirm. Shortly after putting on the medallion, Mutahar was caught up in a scandal in late 2024, which involved the co-host of his podcast, Nuxtaku, over allegations of watching Loli together in a Discord call. In response...
I mean, it wasn't allegations. Yeah, you called it, didn't you? Yeah. Mutahar's been on... I watch a lot of commentary, and he's been on a long-term downfall, because the Nuxtaku drama... isn't even like, so what happened with Nuxtaku, if you don't know? Nuxtaku made his whole career on watching hentai on stream with his friends, or even just on stream. Yeah, a lot of people hate Nux. And one of the people that was with was Mutahar, which Mutahar, like, always acts like he doesn't remember it and stuff like that when the videos are clearly there of him doing it. Nux also was found out to be in connections with doing content with Shadman, the infamous Shadman, though he said it was to dunk on him on stream, which Nux has never really done. So that kind of was that drama. Now, at first, Mutahar was like, yeah, that's pretty disgusting. And then he made an entire video denouncing Nux. And then he got shit for that from his community. And he deleted the video and did an apology video all within like 24, 48 hours. Nux and Shadman, what a horrible blunt rotation. Yeah. It was, well, I mean, so many people, I wasn't around for the Shadman stuff, but it sounds like so many people were giving him credit over the idea of freedom of speech. And I'm sorry, there's no one is a free speech absolutist. And it just doesn't, I don't know. I don't see where people didn't see through the bullshit of him, of this stuff, right? You can have your ideas about Lolly or anything like that, or, you know, your ideas about Lolly, but it's degenerate stuff either way, right?
Mutahar released a nearly 40-minute long apology video with arguably one of the best YouTube apologies.
It was also because he had connections with Newgrounds animators. He was also involved in a lot of projects for animation backgrounds, I believe. Yeah, Nux has a pretty long history of really degenerate shit that made him popular online. Like, I don't know that I even know the full of it. Like, I haven't really looked into the Newgrounds stuff, but I do know some. I have seen a lot of the stuff around the lolly and the hentai and all of that. I'd rather be friends with Bowser than be friends with Nux. Fair enough. I'd rather be friends with 8-Bit Eric than be friends with Nux. That's saying something.
Apology titles ever. Post Nux Clarity. Genius.
Oh, Shadman. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. Shadman was involved with a lot of those communities. But didn't they dump him? I thought the Newgrounds people dumped him because he was so degenerate. Or maybe I was misremembering that.
Anyway, this whole scandal caused Mutahar to immediately drop Nuxtaku and end their podcast prematurely.
See, I
Mutahar
paused
threw
Andy.
Nuxtaku under the bus and tried to get ahead of the whole thing, but in the end, it was a major nothing burger, and his reaction actually got him more flack than the actual controversy. Around this time, Mutahar also quit Twitter because...
What did 8-Bit Eric do? I just like to spar with him online about his anti-woke takes, you know, and I like to make fun of him every time he brings up Alyssa, because I'm a number one Alyssa White Knighter, apparently, because I have different views about the lawsuit.
People kept commenting that he's Indian on his posts, / saying that he's going to get deported, which I guess would be fair. if Mutahar himself didn't say that in his free time he liked watching cartel beheading videos. Yeah.
Look, I watch cartel death footage on Reddit all the time, okay? It's fucking
That's
weird.
healthy.
No, it's weird, Caleb. My psychologist has said it's weird.
I recommend it.
Like, I'm watching this, I'm like, I admit it's a little out there, but hey, I admit that I know I'm watching shit that's ultra violent.
Personally, I think that if you're able to watch people die in the most horrifying ways as a sick pastime, then crying at the occasional Indian poo joke is ridiculous. There's actually perfectly
Well, that's the thing with Mutahar, though. He puts up this big front, but he's admitted that he reads every single comment on under his videos. And it's also well known that he reads all the comments on his Reddit. And that's just like deranged shit. I think he very much lives and breathes by the positive notions from his audience, and he can't comprehend, or like he can't accept that some people are not going to like him.
Segues into the next Some Ordinary Gamer section, as just recently he was embroiled in a controversy that he has lied about his engineering credentials for over 10 years. It led to the creation of this video, which honestly is one of the funniest thumbnails that I've seen in quite a while. Liar, fraud, Indian. Twitter.
That's a good old what's his name? Gamma reference. That thumbnail, yeah, Gamma got a lot of shit for that thumbnail, but man, it was funny. Oh God, you gotta love Gamma. Oh.
Fraud, Indian. Twitter users were quick to point out that liar and fraud were redundant because Indian encompasses both of those features.
Oh.
Anyway, the whole controversy started because of the expose video by Nick Andros, which is actually pretty good, and the allegations seem legit. You might be wondering, why is Mutahar lying about being an engineer even a big deal? Well, in Canada where he lives, it's actually illegal to claim to be an engineer, as it's a legally protected title. Kind of similar to saying that you're a medical doctor.
So this allegation, it was Nick Andros who made the video. We watched it on stream, and I was kind of following along with it too. But as someone else, who was it? It was what is it? Harmful Opinions kind of went over it, and yeah, it might be illegal, but there's very little chance that it would have any kind of weight for what Mutahar was doing. It kind of pulls away from the idea that he was lying just to get credibility, just to say what's the word, that he could go to jail for it, right? Nick Andros is he's a commentary streamer. He hangs out around people like Chud Logic, Queeman. Let me see. I'll pull up his channel. His voice is something else, but he's done a lot of videos on Nux. So if you want to really look at the degeneracy of Nux, he's a good one to go to. Andros. So he's well known for being anti-Nux, anti-Mutahar. He's done hit pieces on Mutahar. He's done hit pieces on Nux. And he actually came out. So this is the video that claimed it was illegal, right?
Nick Andros. You may have seen my previous video.
Voice.
Welcome, I'm Nick Andros. You may have seen my previous video. Mutahar's been a fake engineer for 10 years. The video's been way more successful than I ever expected.
Yeah, he's a small guy, 10,000 subscribers, and this thing is now sitting at, well, this one's sitting at 150K. Let's go back to the original. 661K on there. So here, I'll get it bigger so you can get a good look at it. So he's a good commentary guy. He does pretty decent breakdowns and videos, even if he is a little obsessed with Mutahar, as you can see. But damn, only 14K subs. Thought he would be bigger with the view count. I mean, this was the first video that he's had that's popped off. Like if you look beforehand, 5,000, 19, and even then he just recently started posting again. His channel was pretty dead. 11 months, 9 months, 5 months, 3 months, 3 weeks ago. Yeah. So mostly what he does is he hangs around the commentary community and he'll do research and then he'll bring it to bigger streamers or bigger commentary guys, and they'll usually go over it. It's still recently that he started making videos. But anyway, give him a like, give him a sub. He's a pretty while I don't know him personally, like I've talked a little with him in a chat. He's still a pretty decent commentary guy. But yeah, this idea of it being illegal kind of overshadows what's actually going on with Mutahar being a incredible loser who lied about being an engineer to give himself credibility online.
One commentary YouTuber by the name of Harmful Opinions actually reported him to the Professional Engineers of Ontario, and they are looking into the case, asking for proof that he lives in Canada. To clarify.
So, yeah, Harmful Opinions turned it in, talked to a lawyer about it, because they said if it's illegal, then why not see if, the merits of that, right? He wasn't trying to put Mutahar in jail. He just had his suspicions of it. I always didn't like Mutahar. His downfall is extremely deserved. I agree. He's just there's this thing on the internet where people fall in love with these large personalities who seem like normal guys, and then you find out that they're actually just fucking losers. And then it seems to be a regular thing happening here lately.
Mutahar has no computer engineering degree, only taking it for 1 semester before dropping out. Harmful Opinions has since posted an update of an email he received in response, stating that the Canadian Enforcement Office doesn't consider this misuse, and states his recent apology video sufficient for them. Personally, I don't condone snitching to the government for any reason, so this is probably the best case scenario. Now, do I think that this is the end of some ordinary gamers? Yeah, probably not, and I don't think it should be. That being said, it's only been a year since he put on the medallion, and it took a long time before the medallion's effects worked on iDubbbz, so who knows, maybe next year something even more egregious than being Indian will come out. I also postscript want to add that Indians have a reputation for lying about their credentials, especially in tech, which I think is partly why this is...
Yes, iDubbbz had a medallion, and a lot of people... iDubbbz is where the curse started. That's where the idea of the curse started, was in iDubbbz. So get ready to hear all about that.
Is such a big deal.
You'd be surprised how many big YouTubers have a Sonichu medallion. Not everybody, though, has worn one. Some people have it. Some people have actually got theirs blessed to try and counteract the effects of it. And some have worn it. And so far, I think everyone that's put it on has had something happen to them.
And became a controversy in itself. Also because it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
The next victim of the Sonichu medallion curse that we're going to be looking at is iDubbbz. Probably the most infamous of all the cases of the Sonichu medallion. iDubbbz used to be one of the most beloved commentary figures on YouTube. His content cop used to be career-ending, and his reign continued for quite a while. I often think of the old days and the Filthy Frank era. Truly a time gone by. Anyway, in one of iDubbbz's bad unboxing videos, a viewer sent him a custom-made Sonichu medallion. This was 9 years ago, so it took quite a while for the effect of this medallion to kick in. And maybe the reason why it took so long for the effects to take hold was because it was fan-made and not a Chris Chan original, but the medallion did come to collect. I think iDubbbz's downfall really started in 2020 with the announcement of his then girlfriend, soon-to-be wife's OnlyFans, and his support of said business venture, which was contrary to the type of personality he had built his entire brand and channel on, which was a shock to his fan base. He made a video doubling down and basically telling his fans to kick rocks and idolize someone else. iDubbbz then, in an attempt to distance himself from his old community, decided to interview Sam Hyde, another online personality, in an attempt to discredit him in early 2021. But Sam realized this and created an elaborate prank to turn iDubbbz's expose into a massive joke. Sam then released his own The Truth About...
This was such a missed opportunity for iDubbbz. He could have completely leaned into his character from the past. Maybe not say the N-word. We got it, right? You grew up, you didn't want to say the N-word anymore. You didn't need to, completely destroy yourself to people to get that taken care of. But Sam Hyde would have been the perfect person for him to just kind of get back in with people.
iDubbbz video and confirmed that it was all an elaborate joke, with a Google Docs sheet of all the different ways that they were going to troll iDubbbz. This attempted distancing of himself from the alt-right would foreshadow what was to come later on, precipitating in May 2023 when he released his I Miss the Old iDubbbz video, where he admits to having trolls remorse and denounces his past actions as being harmful and racist, etc., which was not well received. I think this comment on the video probably sums it up best. iDubbbz is the only person on the internet who didn't get cancelled for being racist and got cancelled for not being racist. The video has him apologize to the people that he made fun of in his content cops and for the slurs that he used to use. To me, it kind of seemed like beating a dead horse. People seem to forget that YouTube, for the most part, isn't really real. All the drama, the slop.
I've watched several of these videos.
Whatever. It's all just noise and entertainment to fill the void. He could have.
Well, here's the thing. Like when you're going through the internet and you come into one of these cancellations, quote unquote, however you want to put it, you just have to roll with it. Like there's no reason to do what iDubbbz did and make this huge apology and, beg for forgiveness basically and go on all of these black people's podcasts and apologize to them, because it's never going to be enough. It'll never end when doing with that. People always want another pound of flesh. So you just own it, what you did in the past, and move on with your new future, right?
Could have just as easily gracefully moved on, just like Filthy Frank or Max Mofo.
Yeah. Filthy Frank is a good example. He just moved on. He didn't, apologize. Even some of the other people that were with him moved on and made like beer and stuff like that. It's you can see the right path, and iDubbbz just decided to nose bomb his career.
Who were massively a part of the 2016 YouTube scene as well, and were creating very similar content, sometimes even in the same videos, but who didn't feel the need to virtue signal their disdain for what they used to be. There's also his creator clashes, which are just full of controversy and gossip, but it's all too annoying and
if you're going to make changes, just do it and keep moving. Yeah, exactly. Right. You get to the point that, yes, you're not going to be the same person you were when you were in your 20s or younger in some of these people's cases. So just move on.
Online for me to really care, I'll be honest. And they aren't really all that interesting anyway. The current H3 situation probably warrants a video on its own, not just a...
Did I ever see the Cold Ones episode with iDubbbz? That episode is so sad. I have not. Link it in Feed the Pig, and I'll take a look at it. Whether I watch it on stream or watch it ahead of time. I mean, looking into iDubbbz history, I mean, it's been beaten into the dust, right? He's been beaten into the pathetic wretch that he is now. Pink guy went from edgy comedy to making pop R&B, trap rock, soul music. Yeah. I mean, there's always another way. Shifting your content sometimes is the best way to go, right? Because it's going to get stale eventually. You can't do the same thing over and over again.
Passing remarks.
YouTubers going to try and be musicians, though, that's a whole different ball game.
So I'll just say that I think that everyone involved in that situation should just... Anyway, the last and probably the biggest victim of the Sonichu medallion is Nick Rakita. Nick runs his channel Rakita Law, and he did pretty well for himself, becoming one of the larger law-related YouTube channels. A lot of that...
If you haven't started to see the pattern...
success is attributed to his coverage of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard court case. And for Nick, it was all going so well. Which was until in October of 2023, in a live stream where...
There have been YouTubers that have been making good music lately. I mean, I believe it. Unfortunately, I don't really listen to a lot of music anymore. I'm usually listening to a book or a commentary YouTuber or something like that. But I could believe that. But I've seen a lot of bad ones like Rice Gum and who are some of the other ones? Didn't Aiden try and do something that sucked? The brothers each tried to do some. There have been some horrible ones.
Out of the blue, he pulls out a replica Sonichu medallion from a package that was given to him, along with a note that said, "A new host has been chosen." Shortly after putting on the medallion, Nick would appear more and more intoxicated on stream and began displaying erratic behavior, shall we call it, including
Yeah, Nick Rakita is a whole story too. So Nick, he like you said, he got famous during the what's his face trials, the kid who during the riots shot people, right? The Paul brothers, PewDiePie. Yeah, there's a lot of terrible ones that are out there. But then, like, as you can see, he just failed. He became an alcoholic. He had he may say it. Let me
where
list it.
He allegedly was receiving dome under the table by his wife's friend. Yeah, although Nick was a lawyer, you're gonna have a hard time trying to defend that. This abuse of substances and alcohol continued into mid-2024, when in May, Nick, his wife, and his wife's friend were all arrested during a police raid on his home. At the house, they found copious amounts of drugs and drug paraphernalia, which led to drug possession, firearm possession by a controlled substance user, and child endangerment charges to be placed against Nick. They also tested Nick's children, and at least one of them was found to have tested positive for cocaine, which led to child welfare taking all the children and putting them into care. So, you know, it's a bit of a step up from just the normal cancelling or...
Absolutely insane stuff. Now, from what I understand, Nick Rakita tried to be in the polygamy, and it has been a failure. Oh, yeah. I think... Well, we're going to get a little into it here. I don't really care for polygamy. I think it can work for some people, but I think in the long run... people, it just doesn't work out, right? People get too connected to an individual. Whoa, what the fuck? His kids had drugs in them? So yes, but it's very, I don't remember if there was a lot of information that came out about it. It may have been like, not necessarily that he was giving the kids drugs, right? It could be that the kids were getting, like they were doing drugs on, say, the coffee tables and things like that, and their kids would put their hands on the coffee tables and then eat food and things like that. So it's not like they were getting the kids high. It's still fucking insane shit, right? I also think they did get the kids back. I don't know if he went to jail. Yeah. It's not, he wasn't having his kid do lines. It was like residual stuff. It still got into their system one way or another, but not what you're thinking.
Falling off of the previous medallion wearers. Nick accepted a plea deal in which he would only face third-degree drug possession charges, and the remaining were dropped. He was sentenced in April 2025 and faced 30 days in jail and a 5-year probation period, which includes random drug tests and 80 hours of community service. He's also likely to never to return as a lawyer because of the drug possession charges. Nick still posts on his channel today and so far seems to be upholding the court sentencing and is doing pretty alright for himself. And all I can say to that is, I wish him all the best. And that's what we're up to on the Nick Rakita Sonichu medallion case. Pretty bad stuff. If we had to rank the negative effects of the medallion from the wearers mentioned, I'd probably put Chris Chan as the worst, Nick second, then iDubbbz and Mutahar last. It's unclear why there is such a discrepancy between medal wearers, but one thing is for sure. I'm not touching that shit with a 10-foot pole. And that is all we have for the Sonichu curse. But who knows? There are always new fools who want to tempt fate. So I doubt that this is the last we've heard of the medallion. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, consider liking and subscribing. But other than that, thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next one.
Yeah, I like Stoic Stick's videos. Am I considering getting a medallion? No, I am. I do not want to see my life go to ruin because some of Chris Chan's curse rubbed off on me. And by the sounds of it, it doesn't even have to be made by him. It's just the shape of the Sonichu medallion causes it to happen. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's a lot of the fun that you see with that. I mean, there's so much to each of those stories too. The Mutahar one is still in progress. iDubbbz is, I mean, he's always, you can see how far he's fallen, especially with Creator Clash 3 just being completely put into the dirt. I don't know why they thought they were going to make a comeback on that. What else? Ooh. Yeah, Creator Crash. That was like, okay, the first one was a success. The second one, it was just them overspending all of their money to pay for all of their rich YouTuber friends to show up, right? And it lost money. You lost money on a charity event and pretty much killed your reputation. I mean, there was also the Froggy Fresh stuff that I think did a lot of damage to it. Why start it again? And then you looked at like the Creator Clash roster, and it was like, who are these people? And do their fan bases want to even watch them box, right? It's like, you're just bad from the start. Bad from the start. And then his recent content cop videos that he's made on Ethan and that whole mess. So let's go here, close that real quick. So I've been into learning about degenerate VTubers. The thing with Creator Clash is that, like the streamer rewards, it's a glorified friend hangout. Yeah, very much so, very much so. Yeah, under the guise of being a charity, right? But anyway, one of my favorite things that I found to do is learning about absolutely unhinged VTubers, because apparently there's many. Something I wasn't aware of. You know, I knew about Nuxtaku and all that other stuff, but some of the ones that people have been sending to me just are so interesting, such interesting characters. So I found this one in Feed the Pig called Usagi Calamari, VTube's most bigoted lolcow. So I just had to give this one a try. So we're gonna look at this one, another lolcow. Let's get started.
And then
nope. A VTuber lolcow, that's right.
Melia the Maid, honestly, this one I'm not going to cover only because their entry just strikes me as one that's really boring to make a video about. I'd run out of ways to say, yep, he's a bigot, and I would just be repeating myself.
Well, that clip has not aged well, given the title of this video.
As you just saw in that clip I played, when I announced my project to re-examine all the entries on the VTuber blacklist, one name that I said I wouldn't re-examine was Melia the Maid. It was mainly because most of the evidence the blacklist showed regarding him was proof he was a bigot, and I didn't have anything else at the time, so I would have just been saying, yep, he's a bigot. Well, I've changed my mind. In hindsight, I should have put Time for Mayhem on the list of blacklisted VTubers I wouldn't re-examine the segment of instead of Melia. Now, before anyone jumps to any conclusions, yes, Time for Mayhem does deserve to be on the blacklist. The reason I'm not going to review her entry is, well, I found myself looking her up on Twitter one day since I wanted to see if any other threads had come out about her. And I stumbled upon her Twitter account, which currently looks like this. Now, before you...
What is this? Time for Mayhem, exposing at real Donald Trump's lies. We ain't letting a felon be the Pontus for a second time. I followed Musk only because I want to laugh at him. Jesus. This is only 2 months ago? Oh my.
You say anything, I know that's actually her because she did actually share a post exposing her misdeeds and basically confirmed she was the same.
If you were a VTuber, Wargaming Dad, what would your VTuber look like? I mean, it would probably look like my home screen. Kamoji, I don't know if they're still in chat, is constantly trying to groom me into becoming a VTuber, and it's not going to happen. But yeah, probably something similar to that. Though I hear that the way to go is to be female. So if one day I decide I want to make a lot of money and you see my channel change from this pig to a female VTuber with a voice changer, just don't ask any questions. Daddy's trying to pay the bills.
Person. Because of how bizarre this development is, and from what little I do know about Time for Mayhem, she wasn't like a political VTuber, I've decided that I've earned a get out of jail free card, so I'm going to use it in this instance. Also, as you can see in the post that she shares confirming that she is the same person, Time for Mayhem isn't disputing any of the stuff she's accused of, so
Oh, I've got a video on them next.
I don't feel the need to really go over her allegations again. Now, if her ex was to ask me to make a video calling her out, or if some more stuff came out about her, then I would make a video on her. But until that happens, let's move on. I know this might seem odd to be...
Do you have, Blake, do you have an inflation fetish, or is it... or is it just big bellies?
Again, with a flashback to a previous video of mine, but the alternative would be to talk about how the VTuber sphere recently has had people ask if there was a bigotry problem. Although, now that I think...
Now, I will say one thing. I've talked with Andres on Twitter quite a few times. This is, I think, the first video I've watched on his. I like just to joke around. That's fine. That's fine. I'm all about it here. One thing I can say when I start hearing, being a former anti-woker myself, I hear the word bigot, and I like immediately want to discount it, because I've heard a lot of people use that word with people who, well, just aren't, right? So I'm always like, are they really? It got to the point in some of the years that it just was a constant thing that was brought up. Ooh, inspired surgery. So we'll see where he goes from here.
Think about it. Actually, that is relevant to this video, so let's talk about that. So, as of the past year or so, there has been some significant discussion about if certain parts of the VTuber sphere are too accepting or even outright encourage bigotry. You might remember the whole controversy surrounding the Gods video, or the whole controversy currently
I have
surrounding
not. I'm hoping you'll tell me.
Everything. And there's also the
Kirsch,
VTuber Nyara, who's come under attack by a bunch of chuds for making videos where she advocates for trans rights. Now, I would actually argue that bigoted VTubers are the exception, not the rule, although unfortunately it's very easy for most bigoted VTubers to gain an audience. I imagine that for those of you who aren't immediately rushing down to the comments to call me a woke VTuber, alright, I don't have hand tracking set up so you can't see my air quotes, you probably have one example that comes to mind.
For me, one recent example that comes to mind is Daisy May, who, after making statements saying that people didn't need an entire month to celebrate their gender or sex, and then doubling down when people started to disagree with her, has
I bet every time the word bigot is said, bullshit detectors would go off in your head. Yeah, very much so. That's not even a joke, because I've been called a bigot. In fact, and I'm very much not, right? You can say anything about the things that I say. I don't have a problem with slurs. I've used slurs in my past. I've used slurs in the present. Never in a racist tone. And I think for me, that's always the difference. It's depending on how it's used. If you're using it to degrade somebody, like the people or things like that, I have a problem with it. If you're using it amongst your personal friends and stuff like that, you can use it amongst your personal friends and still be racist, but use it in a non-racist way, then that's what it is. It is what, it's normal, I think, for especially younger people. I don't think you're a bigot. I think you are a good dude. Thank you, Blake. I appreciate that. I really do. I found out as I've turned from the anti-woke that there are people on the other side, we'll say, that are just normal people like me. I think if you talk with people, you really get that sense of who they are, and you can really point out the people who are bigoted. Now, when you talk about bigoted people online, I'm sorry, if you wear Nazi apparel and you're always making Nazi jokes and you're constantly doing stuff like that, you can't get upset when someone calls you a Nazi, right? In fact, recently I had an anti-woker call me a Nazi. That was probably the weirdest thing I had ever seen. Same thing with other things. Like if you're constantly making crazy, I had an anti-woker it was an 8-bit Eric argument, and this dude came in who, I don't know, he was using very leftist kind of arguments, but he wasn't a lefty. He was, very much on the right in a lot of the things he was saying, but he called me a Nazi, and I was like, oh, okay, that's weird. Let me guess, Elon Musk? Maybe, I don't know. If it was an alt account.
as well as making some really batshit insane arguments. I cannot
Thank you, Nazmir. Welcome to the chat. One day I'm going to put up a counter with however many times I do it. Old man. But as I was saying, I feel like back in the day, talking about Retro's message, it wasn't very political either. Like, you could be edgy online, and there wasn't this political movement against it. Like, it was there, but it wasn't as predominant as it is today. Where now you have to wear a t-shirt or you're part of the other side, right? If you're not on my side, you're part of the other side. So it is what it is.
I believe I have to say this, but by definition, gay men do not have sex with women at all.
Also, good to see you, Nazmir. It's very late for you. No, usually if it's silent, it's because I have hit my little mute button and not paid attention because I'm either taking a drink or my voice is a little scratchy. So, yeah. Always be willing to remind me that I'm probably muted.
She then proceeded to embrace the label, welcoming all
new followers. Hey, all you homophobic alt-right grifters. I'm Daisy May, but you can call me Daisy. Nice to have you. Halo X for getting the original screenshot. I mean, this could be, it's too late for me from where I am. Fair enough. Where, if I might ask, where you located? I mean, it's midnight. It's almost midnight. It's 11:18 for me here. So I do the late night streams. I mean, this could be that she's that way, or it could be she's leaning into it because she's been called one, right?
Homophobic fans she'd gotten. Although she did so somewhat cowardly, since she later changed the wording of her tweet welcoming them to make it seem like she was under attack, and also deleted the tweets where she's asked why people needed.
Missed your Riley stream, which annoyed me. Smash is a moron, but I genuinely think they're cheating. Yeah, I did. I got it. One day, the allergies won't be available in this garage, and I'll have a real room to do this in. Yeah, I'll have to re-look at the Riley stuff because I don't remember what I said on that. But yeah, it's... Oh, you think they're cheating. Now I remember. It's hard to say. I'll say this 100%. They cheat using the cursor. I don't know that there's enough evidence to say that they're using an aimbot. And a lot of the evidence against them using an aimbot is a lot more convincing. So
a whole month to celebrate Pride, but fortunately people were able to screen cap the tweets I'm showing. But this video isn't about Daisy May.
If you were somehow watching this without reading the title and you didn't pay attention to any of the names I brought up so far, I am talking about Melia the Maid, also known as Usagi Calamari. So, you might wonder how I know that Usagi is Melia. Well, I actually have some really solid proof. Let's listen to a comparison of Usagi's voice with Melia's, as well as another VTube named Shimiku Kuuzu. I am including Shimiku in this for reasons you'll understand in a second.
We got recommended channels and someone that's playing Tarkov.
750.
Whoa, she's got tits.
It's been a while though. I haven't played my Scavin forever.
Yep. Kaneko, hold on. Do I follow this person? No.
You know?
Holy fucking titties!
Is the little kid the male voice? Like, what's with male YouTubers using pedo bait female children as their avatars?
Just like go on her Twitter, there's more titties.
This one's okay.
Never have titties.
Okay. Dude, another epic. Oh, I love it. I'm definitely equipped this one.
Okay, yeah, those voices do sound the same. Similar, at least.
All right. I guess that's all right. I mean, should I even try putting the voice changer on, or that'll probably fuck it up again, huh?
I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Dude, another.
All right. I mean, should I even try putting the voice changer on, or
I
that'll
love
probably
it.
fuck it up
I'm
again,
definitely
huh?
equipped this one.
As you can see, or rather, as you just heard, all three of those VTubers are in fact the same person. And if you need even more proof, here's a screenshot of Melia admitting to being Shimiku. Also, and I know this person.
Why run 3 accounts? The big thing is day one, they sucked absolute shit at the game and couldn't get 10 kills. Blamed it on only 90 to 100 FPS. Then was God the next day once the cheats cracked the security. See, that I didn't know. I didn't get that deep into it. I ended up not being... not streaming for a couple sessions, and that's one that I was pretty interested in looking at. So that's new information for me.
Personally, don't ask how. Melia was really into making fun of Darkside Phil, which if you look at Usagi's profile, you can see pretty easily. In general...
You know why I don't like Darkside Phil? Is because he made a post negatively talking about Rimworld, and I mean, I just can't abide by that. That is heresy on every single level. Didn't I already get that? And that I just can't abide by that. He's worthless to me now.
He's really into making fun of lol cows. Although, funnily enough, this actually caused him to get into a Twitter argument with a particularly infamous one named Ethan Ralph, which I'm showing right now. If you want to know who he is, incidentally, I actually made a video on him, which people who are familiar with actually have said is a pretty good introduction to Ralph. It is rather ironic considering that...
It's funny because I've seen 8-bit going against at was Review Tech USA lately, and I just every time I see it I think of 2 lol cows fighting and I giggle.
I'd argue that Melia is a lol cow very much in the same vein as Ethan Ralph. And as I mentioned, I actually made a video on the Ralpha male. Oh right, I don't have hand tracking set up on this model, so no air quotes are visible. So yeah. I would know. And also like Ralph, as well as John Del Raz, Melia is what I like to call a basement pisser. No, Melia has not actually done that act as far as I know, but it's more of a name I use to refer to people with a specific mindset, namely liking anti-woke content in the vein of the quartering. I say this because, well, while Melia doesn't make anti-woke content, as far as I can tell, Melia just streams games. He is a fan of the Side Scrollers podcast, which does tend to post stuff in that direction. So, since this is the second time
Blabs is the only thing worth watching on that podcast. Only because she went at Grums, right? The quartering did piss in his basement while he was drunk. Really? See, I've never really watched the court. Even when I was like a full-on anti-woker, you know, like watching all the content, I didn't even, I thought the quartering was insane still. Like the stuff he said, I was like, this guy's a retard. Live streamed Christian getting arrested. Jesus.
I've looked at someone who is on the VTuber blacklist, which I decided to re-examine everyone on there for reasons I detail in a Google Doc.
Yeah, I
agree.
agree.
Description. In case you're curious, the first time was Draco's Star Scale, which I actually only made the first because, well, someone accused me of being him. It's a long story. But anyways, you might be wondering if I think Melia should be on the list. Normally I would save that answer for the end of the video, but in this case, I'm gonna answer it right now. The answer is yes, but also no. What do I mean? Well, his current entry should not be on the list because it's actually rather incomplete. They do provide evidence of him being a bigot, specifically transphobia and racism, as well as him harassing people and defending...
I think the quartering is going broke soon with his Rumble deal. deteriorating. Yeah, and his coffee machine didn't do so well either. He just didn't do his business as well, and he's suffering because of it. The quartering is now trying to start a business by selling coffee, and it's failing. Yeah, $80,000 for the machine to make the coffee that he put on his credit card. Anti-woke coffee flopped. Yeah, 100% anti-woke coffee flopped. Imagine that. Plus, there's so many other people doing coffee. I feel like this is the trend off of Black Rifle Coffee. Like all the anti-wokers. So like I was big into watching the YouTube videos of the guys from Black Rifle, right? There was a couple of different YouTubers. They were all ex-military. I was in the military, so they were cool guys to watch. They made some badass videos, some funny shit too. And they made coffee, and then it seemed like everyone else tried to do the same thing. And it's not going well. The quartering also tried to sell cookbooks with images of Trump on them. Wow. Just wow. I laugh when people use credit cards to start a company. If you don't qualify for a loan and don't have rich friends, just let it go. Yeah, right? Or find something you can do as if you want to be a business, something small. Like I have friends who do, what is it called? They do like T-shirts or cups or make like wallets and stuff like that they sell on Etsy, and it's like a second income for them. I do have a buddy who went from making T-shirts to opening up a local T-shirt shop, and he's doing really well with his stuff. I think his brand is like Locals. I think that's what it is called, and he's doing really well for himself. But yeah, I mean, you got to start small. You got to start somewhere. You don't want to put yourself into debt immediately to get the loan, though. I think you're dealing with it. Death Wish Coffee, I think, is another coffee grift. Yeah, I mean, Death Wish was something we bought in the military to try once because of the amount of caffeine. I mean, you have to try it. But after that one time of almost destroying your heart, yeah, you're pretty much done. It's not that great a tasting coffee. Starting an expensive business on a credit card. True. I don't even think the Sharks or Shark Tank would like the Quarterings coffee. I know, and they're an absolute grift.
Someone who's a pedophile, but they don't include evidence of him sexually harassing people, being...
The new army meta is 2 white monsters. Monsters and energy drinks in general. Now, me personally, I'm an old school energy drink guy, and I got really into... Oh, man, now I can't think of the name. There were energy drinks you only could get overseas, and then the Dollar Tree was the only place that sold them. What was it called? No. Rip It. That's what it was called. The Army's secret weapon. Boom. Now, you never got them in this full-size can, right? You never got it in this full-size can. What it was a little half can, but you would just pound them on when you were on duty, just to stay awake from the boredom when you're staring at rocks. I got an addiction to energy drinks from this, and then I realized I had to stop. Rip It. I've never heard of them until now. Yeah, they were pretty much exclusively sold to the military and used overseas. It's so Iraqi freedom shit. Yeah, it very much is. So, I mean, this was the drink overseas, and you could never find it until one day I found it at the Dollar Tree, and I bought a bunch of them and brought them to my buddy. But yeah, do they even have the small cans? That flavor I've never seen. There it is. Little half can right there. That's the fruit punch. That one's not bad. Citrus is the best, though. So used in the 2000s. Oh, absolutely. My first taste of it was in 2010 when I went to Qatar. we had the Rippets on post, and man, it was good. And then, you know, it's always been that way since. But now, yeah, I guess it's the monsters. I scared civilians at one of my old jobs. Because I was National Guard, I did both. I worked at a call center, and I would go in and I would drop 2 of the powdered painkillers and chug a monster before I started working. And people were like, "You're gonna kill yourself doing that." And I was like, "No, I'll be fine. This is how I get moving during the day."
Being fat phobic or being a pedophile, even though they do list that as reasons why he's blacklisted. Back when I had originally said I wasn't going to re-examine his entry,
Specifically the Monster Ultras, got to keep your figure. Yeah, I mean, you've got to go. You've got to go with the sugar-free stuff. Still at it, I see. Yeah, Vincent. I usually run till about midnight. I try to get usually around 11:30 to midnight. I'm trying to push it all the way to midnight every time. Get a good 3 hours in. Maybe one day I'll be able to do longer. We'll see.
I pointed out that if the blacklist was putting him on there for being a pedophile just because he was into Lolicon, then they should also put every other VTuber who is into Lolicon on the blacklist. I'm going to take a wild guess and say that it wasn't because he's into Lolicon that they put him on the blacklist and listed pedophilia as one of the reasons. So, what has he actually done? Well, let's take a look. But first, I feel that I have to give a content warning. Warning, the following video contains discussion of the following: sexual harassment, Nazism.
I'm surprised you're not Rip Gaming Dad. Well, you see, what happened was I started eating a lot of cake and drinking and eating food that I shouldn't, and then not running like I used to. And from there, you become Big Belly Gaming Dad.
And pedophilia. Viewer discretion is advised. Anyways, as usual, do not harass anyone I bring up in this video. Although Melia himself really should take that lesson to heart. And you can probably figure out what the first thing I'm going to look at involving him is. Let's get started. Now, before we get into this segment, there is one thing I'd like to note. There is one example that I'm not going to bring up, largely because it's more appropriate for the last segment. I'm going to give you a bit of context that might seem unrelated, but you'll understand why by the time I'm finished explaining. You may recall that now removed Vice article from a few months ago that called out several statements that Kirsch Verstahl made. Because Kirsch is associated with GamerSubs, quite a few people have opted to end their partnership with GamerSubs over this. One of these people was Rin Penrose. Now, with the other people, there was at least some wiggle room, since this also occurred around the same time as the whole drama involving Cinder. Rin, however, explicitly stated it was because of the brand associating with creators whose views conflicted with her own, and the company not responding to her on the issue. While she didn't outright name the creator in question, said answer only really makes sense.
Yeah, GamerSub's the drink.
To Kirsch, not Cinder, since she said views, not actions. Full disclaimer, Rin Penrose is one of my favorite VTubers, albeit this is an opinion I developed before this all happened. Now, most people just shrugged and went about their way, or even applauded Rin for her decision. Hell, even a few people who are normally on Kirsch's side actually said it was pointless to attack Rin over this. You'd have to be some reactionary moron who's just desperate for content to even think of making an attack on her in tweet form, let alone video form. Now, you might wonder, why is this relevant to Melia? Well, Melia stupidly decided to try and attack
red
Rin
jump
over
scare.
This blew up in his face because he got a ton of people roasting him in the replies. And it also brought up something.
What is that picture? Hold on. Oh, goodness. Okay. Oh, that's the association.
This blew up in his face because...
Fucking filthy. You're a pussy. And you're a literal Nazi. You're a pussy. Meanwhile, guys said a full-grown white woman calling a child the hard R self-defense. Go fuck yourself, buddy.
Because
Okay.
he got a ton of people roasting him in the replies. And it also brought up something I'll get to later. And in the event Melia watches this video, I have to ask, why do you care? There's no way in hell that Gamersubs would have made you a partner over you attacking Rin, and if Rin had just handled this behind the scenes and Gamersubs quietly removed her from their website, it would have actually looked bad for Rin. She had every right to end the partnership when she wanted, and if she wanted to end it over Kirch's views, that's perfectly fine. But that's not all. One thing you'll notice if you follow Melia for long enough is that he has quite the hatred of people who do sex work. One example that comes to mind is Cheriko, a British succubus VTuber. Melia would sexually harass her in chat, and from what
is a Nazi racist woman hater who dropped into my streams for months to only sexualize me in chat. I blocked him because he admitted to being a Nazi, and now his followers are harassing me and calling me a whore for feeling confident posting my own body. Yeah, I mean, that seems like it's a little unhinged. It sounds like he likes VTubers who sexualize him, or that he can sexualize. He just was mad that she kicked him out of the chat. Maybe the things he was saying.
Cheriko describes, it sounds like Melia had his fans brigade her, which, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's against Twitch's terms of service. Now,
yeah, but you'd have to prove that that's what was said, right? Just saying that they're brigading with no real evidence doesn't really prove anything to me.
one thing I've seen some people, Melia himself included, try and do is pull a gotcha moment by claiming Cheriko is a hypocrite for sexualizing herself, but then complaining about people like Melia sexually harassing her. And to those people, all I have to say is that consent is a thing, and when Cheriko is posting risque or not safe for work photos of herself, she is consenting to that. She is not consenting to Melia sexualizing her. Maybe if you understood this, you'd actually have it.
Saying the consenting thing is a little soy, but yeah, what he gets at it is she doesn't have to listen to every, just because she's doing sex work. And I have a lot of disagreements with sex work and how it's been normalized in current day. But yeah, she still has control over who says what in her chat. Sorry. That's just the way it works.
A chance of getting a woman. I did try and speak with Cheriko, but one of her mods said she wasn't comfortable talking about this, and quite frankly, I don't blame her, and I didn't push the issue any further. This isn't the only case where he's attacked someone for doing sex work, since he's also gone after Reedle64. Yeah, I'll get to her stuff in a future video, but I'm not gonna go over the allegations against her here, since, well, so far, the track record against her is 0 for 3. And before you ask, no, she had no role in making me decide to make this video. In fact, I actually asked her about what Melia did to her, and like Cheriko, she actually declined to elaborate. So I'm using the few posts by the VTuber Blacklist that I could find. I'll get back to Angel Girl ASMR in a second, but if you actually look at the people who are on that cursed page, the VTuber Blacklist, if you haven't figured out who Melia is referring to, his claim falls to pieces since, well, the thing is, Draco Starscale, who I have made a video on, as I mentioned, has absolutely no connection to Reedle64, and I did it look. I also know for a fact that Toastify has absolutely no connection to Reedle64 either. In fact, I'm inclined to say that the
That's gotta be a different
people who are on the
Toastify.
blacklist have no connection to Reedle64. Melia has also accused Reedle of faking having dissociative identity disorder. Now, I could point out that since Melia doesn't offer any evidence, I can just dismiss his claim with the same amount of evidence, but since Melia seems to think that you can only have an opinion on the topic of mental illness if you talk about having said mental illness, here is something my friend Atos,
Well, that's
who is
silly.
very...
Oh no, with an E-I-M-I. That's not good. I don't know if I really have the stuff to deal with that. Hold on. Until you have, let's go, 2,000. Boop.
open about having dissociative identity disorder, had to say when I asked her about this. DID is a covert disorder, which means systems are more likely to avoid talking about their disorder and hide that they have switched
or have the disorder at all due to the negative stigma society has placed on them and several other factors including trust and fear. Shu not talking about her DID makes her no more or less likely to have DID than us knowing if Schrodinger's cat is alive or dead until we see under the box. I also asked Riedel, or rather Shu, about this. I have spoken to her in the past for some of my videos, and after she got really angry over what Melia was saying and gave me a bit of an earful, she gave me an actual screenshot showing that she was in fact diagnosed. Because if Melia was willing to make a blatantly false claim about something that there is significant evidence to the contrary about, I do not regret not reaching out to him at all. Melia would also try and bring up the allegations against Riedel, but as I've stated in my previous videos, given that so far every allegation made against Riedel that I've found has ended up being false, I have no reason to believe Melia, especially since, just like Thunder Raven, go watch my previous video if you want to know why I'm saying that. I have a reason to believe Melia was just deflecting for reasons I'll get into later. Now, if you want an example of Melia being a hypocrite with his harassment, he's attacked people for associating with Marina and Sylvie Spark to
let's go back, because I think I'm having to read more of this to get the point. Like, if we're talking about the harassment with what they call brigading, yes, I guess you could call what he's saying harassment. I would have to see what was said, right? If he made, some comment and he was immediately blocked, would it be harassment if that's what he thought was the intent of the channel? But if it's like a continuing thing where she said, hey, this is not what I want, then I think it's more egregious. But I don't consider, unless you have evidence that he actually told his fans to go harass her, or it doesn't even have to be that direct, right? It can be very indirect. Then, I think we're missing a lot of the meat of these claims. Like, it's kind of falling flat for me here.
Do later. Now, if you want an example of Melia being a hypocrite with his harassment, he's attacked people for associating.
Okay. Thank you for following. Oh no, bad thing to promote her. Is that harassment though? Hold on. I'm going to jump into the ring because I stand by what Josh said here. VTubing does not require idol culture. Stating that does not insult or degrade the talented creators who work for these idol agencies. Rather, it criticizes the toxic culture these companies bring. I see Joe Cat. Kind of proud of the VTubers slowly but surely breaking down the idol culture. Wholly based. Meanwhile, I tweeted that VTubing culture and idol culture should be separated, and people are mostly just being toxic towards me, further proving how bad the culture is. And then this is Usagi. You think Sylvia is based? Fucking holy yikes. Didn't know you support serial harassers in the VTubing community. I mean, this isn't really... So far, I haven't really seen anything convincing enough to say that this guy is harassment, or even really like a bigot on that side. I mean, it's kind of fallen flat.
With Marina and Sylvie Spark, two, let's say, controversial VTubers. Okay, before anyone says anything, I am aware that Sylvie Spark and Marina have been accused of a lot of stuff. If you guys want me to look into the stuff they've been accused of, by all means, send it to me and I'll look into it. Although it will take me a while, since not only do I work full-time, I also have committed to a few videos for the next few months. I'm only saying controversial because at the moment I haven't done a super deep dive, so I'm not entirely familiar with the lore. Yet the funny thing is, Melia is more than happy to associate with a different controversial VTuber. One who you're probably quite familiar with if you have been following me for long enough. Akuma Miko. And would you look at that? My theory about Akuma being linked to every VTuber who is a terrible person is correct once again. Although...
Okay, let's bring it back here. Oh. I mean, here's the thing too. While I'm kind of going back on this, like being associated with is it's just kind of a hard pass for me. Like your personal actions to me are more important. Like, yes, there can be situations where you shouldn't be associating with somebody, but just because they have said a tweet or following is the gay. I follow all sorts of people I don't like. It's because I want to see what they're saying, right? Let's see. You should look for Akumu Miko. Okay. Akuma Miko, that would be sick. Necro is a good dude. I met him at last year's Off-Kai. Would anyone want to practice one? Please do one for me. Black roses and pancakes. I mean, this second one, I don't even know what it means outside both of these. It's just them engaging with each other, but how much is that engagement?
Theory about Akuma being linked to every VTuber.
I think association depends on who it is and how deeply the associations you are. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah, a lot of it depends. Your interactions, like it goes back to the actions, right? If your actions show that you're deeply ingrained with this person and your actions match the actions of them, or at least condone the actions of them, yeah, I can see the association being bad. But just a few messages on X or messaging back and forth on X, does that really make you associated? Find out I was only able to find ways to do it for PC, Mac, and Android. Honestly, it's not much of a change. The hardest part for most is getting the 3 average viewers. I mean, yeah, this is like nothing so far that's leading me to this person. I mean, I don't know much about the other person. Instead of like this, show me where Usagi is being bigoted and racist, not necessarily someone they're connected to.
Who is a terrible person is correct once again. Although this is a bit of an odd one, since Akuma does seem to be aware of Melia's misdeeds as Shimiku. I guess it's possible she genuinely might not know that Melia.
Melia, imagine a big black guy discriminating. Okay. Little bro thought he was cooking. Just because it's your mouth, don't let it get to your head. Okay. Imagine being black and openly discriminating against people. I know it's late, but just to reinforce what's in, I don't know what's in the bio. Not sure if you're aware, but this person also went by Shimiku and essentially digital black-faced with their model. They have a fucking roller coaster of a story. I need more context on this. Because, yeah, I need more context on what this is.
Is Usagi. He's also attacked people for associating with Nyara, who I'll get back to in a bit, as you can see here. Yet the funny thing is that when a VTuber
associations are gay. It doesn't matter who you associate with.
Been friendly to him before by the name of Suki of the Sea found out what Melia was really like and what he'd actually done.
I was going to let this go, but don't take kindly to name dropping. Little bro just posted about being a Nazi and lost people because of you. I don't want to associate with you. You're 40 years old crying on the internet because some 18-year-old didn't let you hit. Put the fries in the bag and leave me alone. This bitch keeps advocating for not follow policing when she listened to those retards and stopped associating with me over it. Again, I kind of need the context of what's going on. Like, this is just this person making the claim over this tweet. What happened? It's one-sided. And I'm not going to try and read that down there.
And thus decided to cut ties. Melia got really upset over this.
Okay, that's the same tweet. Let's not forget the follows do not equal endorsement. Okay, so the guy got mad because...
I do not hold this against Suki. I would absolutely believe her if she said that she wouldn't have befriended Melia, knowing what she knows now. Funnily enough, in the replies, I found this comment, which, based on what I've shown so...
They do this repeatedly when they try to be friendly with people. The moment you block him, he gets angry. Like when he called out a VTuber for sexualizing themselves, turned out to be him making creepy comments to them, or people he formerly collaborated with don't hang out with him, and now he's all butthurt that they don't hang with him. Yeah, I mean, he kind of sounds like a loser, but I don't know that I'd full out go, bigot, or even, there just seems to be more
so far.
That needs to be
In fact,
said.
I'm pretty sure the first example given was the stuff I brought up involving Cherryco. I completely agree with. There's also the fact that he was willing to stand by one Angel Girl ASMR, who
let's hope this will stop her harassment once and for all. Good luck. I'll report those posts. Hello, everyone. This post is 110%. These people here have doxed me. Again, I don't know what this means. Literally everything about me.
I am not going to comment on the allegations against her, since I do plan on re-examining her entry on the blacklist myself in the future, although from what I have read, it does not look good for her. This also led him to harass another VTuber named Bumbleoops, who had called out Angel Girl ASMR.
Pot meets kettle. There's a strong allegation. Sarah also said this. See, I feel like I need to know these extra dramas. Bye, y'all. All right, Blake, you go to bed. You feel good. We'll see you on Wednesday if you come, or not Wednesday. Today's Wednesday. I'm off base. Friday.
I am also inclined to believe that this is one of the other reasons why he harassed Reedle64. So anyways, as I've established, Melia has quite the hatred for sex workers, and you probably won't be surprised to know that in general he happens to be quite the bigot.
Okay, now we're getting to the bigotry. I haven't seen anything that really says he hates sex workers, besides apparently he made a weird comment to the one YouTuber, and I'll be here in chat on Friday. Good. Well, I will be sitting here watching whatever slop we can come up with. But does she hate sex worker, or does he hate sex workers because he got mad that a sex worker blocked him? I don't know if that was convincing enough evidence.
So while I was looking for evidence, one tweet of Melia's stood out to me, which I'm showing on.
Hot take: white people are allowed to have a darker skin toned model. No one can gatekeep what kind of model you want to use. Okay.
Screen right now. Now, there is certainly a discussion here, and I mean that in a neutral sense, but regardless of how much of a discussion you could actually have, Melia is one of the last people who should be part of this discussion, because as it turns out, Melia is actually extremely racist. Remember how I brought up a previous identity of his named Shimiku Kuwuzu? Well, that's relevant because, as you can see from this screenshot, an account he'd blocked took.
That is a hell of a PFP. Okay. Maybe we got a little bit here.
At one point, said VTuber identity was using blackface on one of their models. I'm pretty sure said model is a ripoff of Zhongli from Genshin Impact. All signs I've found point towards Melia being a white guy in his 40s. And to that I have to...
Damn it. So all I did was read that out, and all I said was, hey, I'm 41, so let's watch the ageism, right?
Say, damn, Melia, you sure are...
I mean, he uses the N-word on X. Yeah, I don't know that I care that much.
Pathetic. And that's not all. There's also him commenting on a quite racist meme that showed a police body cam photo of a black woman about to get shot to death.
Yeah, okay, but that was all over the I know what picture they're showing. It was all over the internet, and regardless of if the woman was black or not, it was an unhinged photo. Were there racist people that took at it? Sure. Was his comment on it racist? Hang on, let's go back. Oh, rest in shit, BLM. Okay, yeah, we could say that maybe a little racist to it. The BLM movement, but I mean, we can't. Still cannot believe this image wasn't created by AI. Take every Democrat you see for supporting police body cams. I mean, it was an unhinged picture, and it was absurd, right? Unfortunately, I remember seeing that. It was a good shoot. By mean lawful shoot is what I mean by that. The lady was obviously very mentally ill. I don't know, commenting under this completely falls under it. Maybe more will convince me.
There's also this that I found, which, well, I wouldn't necessarily...
Hashtag Black History Month encourages acceptance of those who are or were discriminated against. We should also use this time to accept lolly show VTubers. Yeah, I mean, everybody has seen that picture on the internet, you know. VTubers who are still openly discriminated against and ostracized. Promote your favorite lolly show VTuber in the comments. Show love, not hate. Legally, it's questionable. Morally, it's disgusting. Personally, I like it. Jesus. I don't think this is racist. I think it's just them trying to move their lolly appetites into the Black History Month movement or any of that kind of movements.
Necessarily say it's outright racist. It's very questionable at best, since he's trying to start a movement to turn Black History Month into a lolicon/Shotacon month. Obviously, it failed, since I haven't seen anyone else try and make this a thing. This is just bizarre, to say the least. Melia is also a bit fat-phobic, as you can see here. Hey Melia, you do know that eating
Due to some VTubers exposing how they look IRL, quite a few of them need this. Evertruna and the Mummy and Kawajari, to name a few off the top of my head. And this is getting into that level of you just see something and it's fat phobic, right? It couldn't just be like, this could very well just be a joke. Could you call it fat phobic? I guess, but it just, all the phobics start to get tiring after a certain point, and it's just trying to stack all the isms and phobics on top of somebody.
Here. Hey Melia, you do know that eating disorders are a thing, right? Also, for all you know...
Okay, that's very soy. Yes, eating disorders are a thing. The vast majority of people who are fat don't have an eating disorder. They have a bad habit of eating too much. Me being a fat guy myself. Yes, other things can factor into that. Mental health, depression, things like that. But a lot of that is on the person.
So, those people could actually be trying to lose weight, but just keeping their progress to themselves. Making fun of someone who is in circumstances for reasons beyond their control, or someone who is actually trying to improve themselves, isn't being edgy or funny. It just makes you an asshole.
Yeah, but how do you know those people are like actively trying to improve themselves? I mean, regardless whether it's actively trying to improve themselves or not, you don't know the situation. It doesn't change what the joke is, right? And you know, if you are a fat person who's trying to lose weight, the last thing you need to be doing is reading what some shitter on X or YouTube or anything like that is saying mean about fat people. You just have to roll with it and move on. Like if there's someone directly coming at you and like harassing you about being fat, sure, you know, most normal people aren't going to deal well with that. You just, this is very soy.
Also, I've seen what you look like in real life thanks to photos that have been posted online, and all I have to say is I sure hope the glass house you're living in has really strong walls, because you're not just throwing stones, you're shooting the walls up. Melia is also...
He should have brought a photo of him up. Just that would have been a good jab at him, right? Make fun of him back. It is weird though. There is this thing of people calling you ugly or fat or whatever, and then you see a picture of them and you're like, man, are you sure you're looking in the mirror while you're typing? I think you're looking in the mirror while you're typing.
insanely transphobic, accusing people like you, me, and...
The groomer loves to slander. I'm saying it out in the open. Groomers don't even try to hide it. I'm a pretty big fan of giving children puberty blockers.
And Yara.
Listen, I understand the sentiment around the groomer loves, the groomer ideas, and the, like, I don't get into the trans talks a lot. I have my issues with it. One of them being giving children puberty blockers or life-changing surgeries and things like that. Is what he's doing transphobic? Sure. These two comments, he probably says a groomer to every single one. That is some kind of trans, right? So yeah, you might be able to call him trans. But yeah.
Who are not cisgender of being groomers without any proof, aside from statements in favor of trans rights, which I would like to state is not grooming. These two names will pop up later in the video. In fact, I even found a few cases where he even outright states that he doesn't think trans kids should exist. Yet the funny thing is, he has absolutely no sense.
Okay, but that's... He's saying... I think the argument involving puberty blockers is that it's reversible if you get off them. After a few weeks, you continue through puberty normally, but it's a different discussion away from this. Yeah, I mean, I agree. And to me, there's also a lot of things about that being the case. Like that's a whole different conversation. Kids should not be trans. I mean, what he's trying to say out of this statement is he doesn't believe that trans people should, like, kids shouldn't be making that open decision, right? They should be waiting until they're older. So he's not saying that trans kids don't exist. He's just saying that he doesn't think kids should start transing. That's what I'm getting from it. Maybe I'm feeding too much into it, but it just doesn't sound like what he said.
Yet the funny thing is, he has absolutely no sense of self-awareness. When someone referred to him as Melia, he acted as if they were dead naming him. That's not even remotely comparable.
He's joking. That was a joke.
Okay, now this next segment kind of feels like it would be a sub-segment of this one, but given how much evidence there is, as well as the fact that it is kind of out of left field and does require a bit of context, I'm just gonna be blunt. Melia is a Nazi.
Okay. I mean, some comments in the bigotry section you could definitely say are lean on the line of bigotry. Some of them are just jokes, and some of them just really have no merit to me, I guess.
Now, let me make one thing abundantly clear. I am not calling Melia a Nazi just because he may or may not have conservative...
LOL, she deleted the tweet, but someone screenshotted it. Thank God. What a fucking tool. You wouldn't live in fear if you come to the US illegally. Okay.
Political beliefs, although he does have very right-wing political
The left VTard finder. The left wants to protect free speech. Meanwhile, the left is the one who wants, excuse me, you removed from, okay, pretty typical talking points.
Posts. Actions speak louder than words. And in Melia's case, there are a few actions in particular that make me call him a Nazi. For example, he's reposted etchy pictures featuring characters
Is okay. I mean, sure, the Nazi one, but the Jewish one, really? It's strange.
with SWAT.
I mean, this is the thing that you're seeing here lately. Is this mass of VTubers who I feel like edgy has gotten so far and people have tried to push the limits so much just to feed the edgy crowd or kids that we've gotten to stuff like this. Now, the one on the left, the Jewish one, I could really give a fuck about, right? The one on the one on the right, the Jewish stuff. The one on the left, it's this edgy thing that people are trying to push, right? Maybe they have, I'm going to be completely honest, the culture war of the 20,000s is even worse than the 2010s one. Oh yeah, I mean it's fallen into complete retardation at this point where it's just craziness. Like the pendulum's going to start swinging back to the left here soon. And I can only hope a lot of this ridiculousness is going to calm down. But honestly, it's probably not.
Swastikas and other Nazi symbols prominent.
Okay, so was the Jewish stuff Nazi? It seems a little off base there.
I'm gonna censor these since I'd rather not find out the hard way if YouTube's policies are stricter against edgy or Nazi symbols. But if you want to see the uncensored photos, they will be in the master drive of evidence. Bit of advice, don't look up that Sean Axe account because it's full of Nazi stuff. I say this as someone who made the mistake of going there. And I'm not gonna comment on the fact that one of these photos has an Israeli flag prominently displayed, mainly because this isn't really the video to get into current events related to that flag. And I know that someone or Melia himself is going to say that the swastika has other meanings. However, there was also an incident where he tweeted out that he needed art of his VTuber model in a Nazi uniform. Arendelle actually made a video on this one, and I have considered saying she covered everything there is with Melia, but then
I think the end result of these people going like full out edgy Nazi, because that's what I really think it is. I mean, there's some arguments for that Misu dude being an actual Nazi in the group that he was fostering, but I think a lot of the others, they're trying to get edgy views, and it ends up crashing out real quick on them because people don't want to, like, it gets to be too much. You're going to burn out quickly, right?
At all the evidence and changed my mind, and also some stuff came out after her video dropped. Go watch her video if you want a more in-depth look at Melia's desire for a Nazi uniform. Now, I would like to point out that in my VTuber lore, I have an evil twin, Siegfried, whose model I'm using right now. So if you've ever wondered why I sometimes use a different model on my streams, now you know why. And even though I kind of have an excuse, I would never think of doing something like this with said evil twin. This isn't even a one-time thing. Melia would later tweet a photo that I think
in 3 years, all of these edgy VTubers will have trollers remorse when they have no watchers and their name is associated with all of their past. Yeah, I agree with you very much so. Well, you've already seen that the Misu chick is completely gone off the internet, deleted all of their stuff, their faces out there, they're doxxed. And it's the problem with a lot of this stuff is once the dox comes out and things like that, you could have harassment for the rest of your life. If people are crazy enough for it. I mean, yeah, this is like, someone please draw me in this uniform. I mean, it's going to get to the point that it's just going to be, no one's going to want to watch them, right? They're just going to completely, once this audience is gone, they're just not going to have any weight to stand on. They're not going to be able to. This isn't like iDub saying the N-word. The internet is a dangerous place. Yeah, you just have to think critically about what you're looking at. Like I think the problem is you have impressionable people getting on here, especially teens trying to be edgy. It's all fun and games until it's time to get a job. Yeah, exactly. It's young guys being edgy online, young men and women trying to be edgy online, hoping they'll make it big and they can do it forever, when in the long run, the vast majority of people, just the vast majority of YouTubers and streamers burn out very quickly. And then you add in this kind of content and it burns out sometimes even quicker, because you're trying to build your entire fan base off of controversy. And when you're building it off of controversy, you have to keep pushing the envelope to keep these people viewing your content.
I'm going to say is AI generated.
I mean, I don't know if y'all have heard about the French guy that died on stream, and he was being abused for years on Kick. So, I mean, it's that kind of crazy insane. They kept pushing the envelope with this guy until he died, and now they're probably going to end up in jail. The French government is even going after it. That may be something I cover on stream. Yeah, it was fucked up. But it's that kind of content, whether it's IRL, whether it's these Nazi VTubers, whether it's the lolcow stuff. It keeps getting pushed farther and farther until something snaps, and it's just no good.
Of Silvervale, Mary, and Fillion wearing SS uniforms, saying he wanted someone to draw his model in that outfit. I don't know if they could sue Melia for defamation, but if they can, I would suggest they consider doing so. And Melia later tweeted,
"What? Defamation? No. A lot of people." Okay.
Melia for defamation, but if they outfit, I feel I had evil twin. This isn't even a one-time thing. Melia would later tweet a photo that I'm gonna say is AI generated of Silvervale, Mary, and Fillion wearing SS uniforms, saying he wanted someone to draw his model in that outfit. I don't know if they could sue Melia for defamation, but if they can,
that's an absolutely silly take. No, it's not defamation to make a drawing like that, whether it's AI generated or not. You're not pushing false allegations. You're making a crazy photo. Defamation is always the hardest to prove in court. Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially when it comes to public figures like this, because you have to prove malice, and it's almost impossible to prove.
Suggest they consider doing so. And Melia later tweeted this.
Sure, I started seeing patterns here. It's impossible to find artists that are open to Nazi art. Is that so? I think as long as you're not believing the ideology, you should be fine admiring the attire. I find it funny how offended people get over it. That's kind of them saying, like, the edgy thing that I'm talking about.
The artist in question, who Melia is replying to, would later grant Melia's wish. And there was also this, which I don't really have anything to add. You know, nowadays, most people I see online who happen to subscribe to neo-Nazi beliefs.
I hate the term dog whistles. It's so, like, most people don't talk in dog whistles. So people who are doing like the 88, it's not even a dog whistle. It's for something to be a dog whistle, no one has to know what it means. Once it's all over the internet that it's a quote unquote dog whistle, then it's not a dog whistle anymore. It's just what it is. And I'm sorry, I mean, if you don't understand like 88 and things like that, then like I said, edgy content that they're going over the top because Nazis always gets you controversy, right?
beliefs, or at least have beliefs adjacent to those, are usually some of the most insecure assholes on the planet, such as Nick Fuentes still being in the closet, or pretty much everything about Styx Hexenhammer. I'm willing to bet that Melia has similar insecurities, but as you can probably tell from how much is left of the video, I've yet to get to the worst thing about Melia, namely he's a pedophile.
Okay, here we go. Now I better see some really good evidence, because this is this is a big claim.
Yeah, this is the third time in a row that I've talked about a VTuber who was into kids. If you know about Melia as of recent, you probably already knew this one was coming. See, when I made my Lucian video, I noted that the VTuber Blacklist said he was a pedophile, but didn't really give any evidence. I stated that if they were labeling him as a pedophile based solely on the fact that he was into lolicon, then they should put Rev Says Desu, or pretty much any other VTuber you can think of that's into lolicon on the blacklist for pedophilia. Obviously they didn't. Although part of me wishes they had, simply because it would have been hilarious to see the blacklist basically commit suicide by giving Rev a reason to make a video attacking them. Now, given the title of this segment and how I've started things off, I imagine that a good chunk of you already think you know where this video is going. So you know what? I'll let you just post your hate comments right now. Okay, now that I imagine that I've given a few people an opportunity to make themselves look stupid, it's time for me to explain why, regardless of how I feel about lolicon, Melia's stance on the subject has nothing to do with why I added this segment to the video.
So there's one thing Vincent might come out and say something, but there's what I'm hoping I don't see is jokes about pedophilia, right? Because here's the thing. You can joke about pedophilia and it be funny, right? But if you do it too much, or you joke around with kids, or, you know, you can make it look like you can basically, people will start calling you a pedo. And especially if you're doing it with kids, I think you've crossed the line of it just being joking.
No, I'm putting this segment in the video because, well, Melia is an actual pedophile. And I only put that previous bit in there because I know if I don't address it, Melia will just take me out of context and say that I'm calling him one because he's into lolicon.
Yeah, it's generally not a good look, especially the older you get. The older you get, you should not be saying pedophile jokes. It just makes you look creepy and pedophilic.
One example of him being an actual pedophile comes from someone who goes by YouMeet online. I did get permission to share this from them because...
So a bit of a question for you. I make scripted videos, and while it won't be for a while, I already am in the middle of making a video this month, and I've decided I want to take down Melia the maid in future videos. So with that being said, would you have a problem if I was to use your DMs with him in my video? I'd be more happy to let you see my script. Give me a correction in return. No problem.
It is actually kind of embarrassing. They had talked to Melia in the past on Discord, and the discussion took a somewhat disturbing turn when the...
How old is Yumi? Have you ever been caught? Once when I was a child. Hot. Oh God, I think I've seen these before. Hot. Tell me what happened. I love details. I just got. I have heard. I have seen these before. Yeah. This is. This guy's. Yeah. This person's a pedo. Junior high, nice, good age range for experimenting. Like, Jesus, yeah, okay, that's all I need. Case closed. This dude's a pedo.
The topic of being caught while masturbating came up. Pun unintended, but unavoidable. Now, I think the only appropriate responses are either, man, that sucks, or just changing the subject, because this is something that's rather embarrassing. It's why I actually felt obligated to ask for permission to share this first. But that's not where it ended. As you saw at the start, Melia actually commented, "That's hot," in response to finding out that Yumi got caught masturbating as a child, and then proceeded to make...
Oh, God. Do you have any audio of moaning? Oh. Can you make... What? Oh, God. Yeah, and this guy's calling other people groomers. I don't know how old is Yumi at this time? If I remember a lot right, then yeah, they were still underage. Oh, I love your voice.
The discussion even more sexual, despite Yumi being indifferent at best. Yumi has called Melia out over this.
If you're curious why I stopped talking to Melia, it's because I was caught off guard when you said me getting caught was hot. I answered nonchalant to see how they would react, and they did not relent.
And Melia...
Every single time. This is just like... Even if the thing is like Yumi could have been an adult during this, but they're clearly wanting to talk about her as a minor. So it's not even, you know, it's just, yeah. Wood chipper, wood chipper, wood chipper.
Melia hasn't tried to defend himself from Yumi or anyone who has posted this in the replies to Melia's post. At best, Melia will just deflect. It's almost as if Melia knows that this is
and there it is. Groomers will never be supported. Ugh.
Extremely damning to him. Oh, and before Melia or anyone else tried to say that he found the fact that Yumi was caught in the act hot, if that's the case, then that raises a lot of questions about why he constantly posts about Darkside Phil, given a particular clip that Darkside Phil is quite infamous for. But I'm not going to open that can of worms, so I'm going to get back to the video at hand. That's not all. He also jerked off to a model belonging to a 16-year-old. I was actually able to track down the original post, which I'm showing right now. And I know what you're gonna say. This isn't named Melia, so how do I know it's talking about him? Well, I stumbled upon this post while I was looking.
Interesting, since you've been outed as sending disturbing messages to minors, I thought Lolicon was supposed to be all fiction. Why are you sending unsolicited dick pics in real life? How do you not delete everything after this goes out on? Yeah, absolutely. Like you delete everything and you move to one of those pedo neighborhoods, sex offender neighborhoods, so that you never have to be seen again.
Looking around, and I have very good reason to believe that it's the one that is being referenced. And I did ask them, and they said that Maddie's post was probably the one they were referring to, and since I could not find anything else, the stuff Yumi posted happened after Maddie's post, I have no reason to believe that Rika is referring to something else. First of all, the dates match up since this was published before Yumi had their experience. Second, I'd say that having a grown man tell you that he jacked off to your model as a minor would be a disturbing message. And lastly, considering what we saw with the stuff in Yumi's DMs, he does get off on stuff involving minors. Also, assuming the screenshot was taken around the time Maddie's post was first made, then that means Melia was jacking off to a trans minors model. So, in addition to everything in Maddie's post, we also know that Melia sent nudes of himself to a minor. So that's two.
Well, okay. All right. I'm going to give a little credit here. All it is someone saying they've sent it, right? It's very likely that it happened, I think, because of other things that he's said. Like there's the actual evidence of him talking about with someone about them when they were younger, but there needs to be a little bit more evidence than he sent a dick pic, right? Because if that's true, that is straight up illegal. That is arrestable offense.
Possibly 3, in case Rika Thorne was actually referring to something else, instances of Melia getting off to stuff involving minors. These things make all the times that Melia has falsely accused a trans person of grooming, such as these examples with Niara.
It's far from a baseless claim. Oh yeah,
come across
grooming.
As projection.
Betard, follow. Yeah, we've
Given
seen
what
these.
Melia has actually done.
Yeah,
and for the record, supporting trans kids is not grooming under any definition of
Watch
the word.
list
One of
worthy,
these is
yeah.
also kind of concerning, since Melia also linked a video by Tectone in a quote tweet. Now, you might wonder why I'm bringing this up, but the thing is, Tectone has been accused of SA and also threatened Niara by saying, don't.
Well, I think that's, what is this? I had a surreal conversation with another streamer this morning that was really eye-opening for me. If you've only seen the tweets and the clips that circulate online about me, you're 100% justified in thinking that I'm a monster. Kind of funny, to be honest. I only read your ex's doc on you. That was enough to think you're a monster. Don't make me call my dad. I mean, he's trying to be funny here, but he hates it when you call his dad a rapist, so he's not as tough as Tectone seems to be. Also, why do I care about this situation with the pedo dude? Like, just focus on that.
Make me call my dad. Said dad has been convicted of SA 14 times, not defamation since it's true, in response to one of Niara's replies. For the record, I believe Tectone's ex, and if he sees this, all I have to say is go fuck yourself. It also makes the fact that Rev Says Desu is accusing Niara of being a groomer without any proof kind of hypocritical, because you have an actual pedophile using this as an excuse to bash someone he doesn't like. Hey Rev, why haven't you called out Melia? You had no problem calling out Kiro the Wolf's VTuber rebrand, or are you choosing not to because Melia's politics align with your own? He's only given people who hate Lolicon ammo since he's a legitimate pedophile who's into the stuff. This also goes for pretty much any anti-woke VTuber who comments on drama as well. As long as you guys continue
Kira the Wolf, got him. I don't know anything about that drama.
To tolerate people like Melia in the VTuber sphere, you have no right to call anyone a groomer. Now, like I said, I'm not saying that Melia is a pedophile just because he's into Lolicon, but given what I've shown so far, it does paint some of his posts, which you could have argued were just him talking about Lolicon up until now, in a very different light, given that we now have new context to look at them from. Like this example right here, and this one
Jesus,
as
Jesus
well, which
Christ.
I'm pretty sure is AI.
Fuck.
Wait a second. Melia is a Nazi and a pedophile. I never thought I'd say this, but we have a VTuber version of Oscar Deilerwanger. And if you're wondering how I know about that guy, let's just say that playing a lot of Hearts of Iron 4 mods introduced me to quite a few historical figures that I probably wouldn't have even considered looking into otherwise. Also, bit of a funny story.
Good game. Another Paradox game that has way too many DLCs.
Remember how I mentioned that Ethan Ralph and Melia had an argument early on? Well, there was actually one screenshot I didn't include, but I'm gonna show it now because it's more relevant here. That's right, Ethan Ralph was...
Hold on.
I'm gonna show it now because it's more relevant.
Sure thing, buddy. I have a steady diet of online etiquette to know what not to do to be hated by the general populace. I was smart enough to not be a lolcow. You, on the other hand, certified pedophile.
Here. That's right, Ethan Ralph was actually correct about Melia being a pedophile, although I highly doubt he knew what I've shown about Melia so far. You know, I don't really have anything else to